गुड इवनिंग टू ऑल ऑफ यू। आई होप सब लोग अच्छे होंगे। दिस इज माय फर्स्ट क्लास फॉर सीए फाइनल इन दिस बैच। माय नेम इज सीए अरुण छाजे फ्रॉम दिल्ली। वी आर गोइंग टू डिस्कस द एक्सपोर्ट एंड इंपोर्ट चैप्टर। I hope my voice, audio, video, everything is clear. So, we can start. Only 1 minute. So, ठीक है, start करते हैं. The topic is import, export. In the import, we are going to discuss import of goods and services. Similarly, we are going to discuss about export of the goods and services. If you have any question, you are requested to ask in the question, so I can see the question and give the reply. Starting with the import. In the GST, the charging section is section 9 of the CGST Act or section 5 of IGST Act. Because we are talking about import and export, therefore we are reading the section 5 of IGST Act. What is the section 5? It says that subject to the provision of subsection 2, subject to the provision of subsection 2, there shall be levied a tax called IGST. There shall be levied a tax called IGST on all intrastate supply of goods or services or both, except on the supply of alcoholic liquor for human consumptions. What is the mean? It means that if you are doing the transaction interstate trade or commerce, there will be the IGST. However, no GST would be charged on the alcoholic liquor for human consumption, and we all know that reason for alcoholic liquor not under GST because it has been excluded from the definition and state are not agreeing considering their revenue. On the value determined under section 15 of CGST Act, at such rate, what would be the rate will be notified, but they are saying maximum tax rate would be 40%. Maximum tax rate would be 40%. IGST, correct. As of now, there is no product on which 40% tax rate is leviable. Maximum rate, actual tax rate which is notified is 28. I am not adding compensation cess. As may be notified by the government in such manner as may be prescribed. Now the proviso to the section 5 says that integrated tax on goods imported into India shall be levied and collected in accordance with the provision of section 3 of Custom Tariff Act on the value which is to be determined according to said act, means on which value the custom is leviable, on the same value the GST would be charged, but yes, there would be some addition. What is the addition? we are going to discuss in some time. At the point when the duties of the custom are levied on the said goods under section 12 of the Custom Act. So it means the levy of IGST. Normally, we are paying the GST through GSTR return, that is GSTR 3B. If I am required to pay the taxes, whether it is forward charge or reverse charge, I am filing my GSTR 3B, and at that point of time, I am paying the taxes. Or there is a mode, another mode, PMT 06. But if I am importing the goods, then custom duty, social welfare cess, and IGST would be paid at the time, and when I am paying the custom duty, at the same time I have to pay the IGST. That is the only GST, that is the only payment of GST which is not routed through GST portal, is being routed through custom portal, which is called as ICEGATE, ICEGATE. यहां तक क्लियर है? एक बार कंफर्म करें, इज इट क्लियर टिल नाउ? इज इट क्लियर? एक बार कंफर्म करें प्लीज. नाउ we are moving to the definition of interstate supply. What is the definition of interstate supply? We all know that interstate supply, it means if the location of supplier and place of the supply are in two different states, two different union territory, or one state, one union territory, then that is called as interstate supply. It is 7 subsection 1 I am talking about. 7 subsection 2 talks about that if you are importing the goods, then it will be treated as interstate trade or commerce, and therefore IGST is being charged. See, in the GST, import or export is nothing but the interstate supply. In the GST, import or export is nothing but the interstate supply. Now we are talking about place of supply. As of now, because we are discussing import of the goods, right, Mansa? Absolutely correct, because Article 366 Clause 12A, which define the word GST, which has excluded the alcoholic liquor for human consumption, and as a reason, as of now, there is no GST on alcoholic liquor for human consumptions. Thank you so much. Now, what is the place of the supply? Let me ask one thing, that have you read the place of the supply provision? I am writing section 10, section 11, section 12, and section 13. All are of IGST Act. Can you please tell me quickly? Can you please tell me that when the section 10, 11, 12, 13 would be applied? What is the difference between these sections? When section 10, when 11, when 12, and when 13? Viraj, Kaushiki, and Mansa. So broadly, I can say the section 10 and 11 is for goods, and section 12 and 13 is for services. Right. In the section 10, it is a domestic transaction other than import and export. And section 11 is import or export of obviously goods. So currently we are talking about import of the goods. So what would be the place of the supply? To be determined according to section 11. When we are talking about export, then the same thing. So import and export, the section 11 would be used to determine the POS. Similarly, I can say 12 and 13 would be applied for services. And what is the difference? if the location of supplier and location of recipient both are in India, then section 12, any one is out of India. It means one party is in India, one party out of India. In that case, section 13 would be applied. So as of now, because we are discussing goods, so I can say the place of the supply would be determined according to section 11 of IGST Act. Okay. Levy of custom duty. So section 12, except as otherwise provided in this act or any other law for the time being in force, duties of the custom shall be leviable at such rate as may be specified under the Custom Act, Custom Tariff Act, or any other law for the time being in force. Oh, great. Very nice, Mansa. Congratulations. Congratulations. So, the section 12 talking about except as otherwise provided in this act or any other law for the time being in force, duties of the custom shall be levied at such rate as may be specified under the Custom Tariff Act or any other law for the time being in force on goods imported into or exported from India. The provision of subsection 1 shall apply in respect of all goods belonging to governments as they apply in respect of the goods not belonging to government. Perfect. So you are having the separate modules for the custom. So wherein you are going to discuss in detail. Provision for collection of IGST on import and warehouse goods from the custom warehouse as also for determination of their value under section 3. What are the provision? The section 3, subsection 7, any article which is imported into India in addition to liable to integrated tax at such rate not exceeding 40% as is leviable under section 5 on a like article on its supply in India on the value of imported article as determined under subsection 8 and 8A as the case may be. What is the 8 and what is the 8A? For the purpose of थोड़ा टाइम एक बार थ्योरी डिस्कस कर लेते हैं, उसके बाद हम अपना एनालिसिस पार्ट में आ जाएंगे. लेट मी कंप्लीट दिस टू प्रोविजन एंड देन विल स्टार्ट द एनालिसिस पार्ट. उसमें आपको थोड़ा एंजॉयमेंट आएगा. For the purpose of calculating the IGST on imported article where such tax is leviable at any % of its value, the value of imported article shall, notwithstanding anything contained in section 14, the aggregate value of imported article determined in section 14 subsection 1 or the tariff value of such article fixed under subsection 2. Any duties of the custom chargeable on that article under section 12 and any sum chargeable on that article under any law for the time being in force but does not include the tax referred to in subsection 7 or 9. Similarly, subsection 8A talks about where the goods deposited in a warehouse under the provision of custom are sold to any person before clearance for home consumption. Underline this word. It means goods are being sold to any person, but prior to filing the bill of entry for home consumption, or I have exported without filing bill of entry for home consumption, I have sent the goods out of India. Then value for the purpose of calculating IGST shall be where the whole of the goods are sold, the value determined under subsection 8 or the transaction value whichever is higher, or where any part of the goods is sold, the proportionate value of such goods as determined in subsection 8 or transaction value whichever is higher. So now let me move to the analysis part. IGST on imported goods in addition to the duty of custom. IGST on imported goods in addition to the duties of custom. So we have talked about goods. Import of goods का definition क्या है? Means bringing goods into India. That's it. Your physical movement in export of the goods or import of the goods, the only relevant part, which is movement, whether movement is happening from India to out of India for export or from out of India to India for import. That's it. There is no any other requirement. But when you compare with the services, import of service or export of service, you will find some conditions. More than one conditions are there. In case of the import of the goods from a place outside India, bringing into India is import. ठीक है? Supply of the goods will be treated as interstate supply. We have already discussed. The IGST would be levied according to section 3 that we have already discussed. The place of the supply we have already discussed. And what is the place of the supply? What is the place of the supply for import the goods? The location of importer. The location of importer. So therefore, if the importer is located in Rajasthan, then the SGST would accrue to the state of Rajasthan. ठीक है? हाँ, IGST on import of the goods is levied in addition to other custom duty levied on imported goods, but the same is not custom duty. In addition, GST, see, I hope this line is clear, that if you are importing the goods prior to the GST, there were some more custom duty like basic custom duty, still it is there, countervailing duty, special additional duty. Now, in replacement of all these duty, the IGST has been brought into. Now, these, see, basic custom duty are still leviable, but rest not leviable. So IGST on imported goods is levied in addition to the other custom duty levied on imported goods, but the same is not the custom duty. In addition to the GST, the compensation cess may also be levied in case of the like pan masala, tobacco, etc. So on luxury item and demerit goods. So GST compensation cess. Can anybody tell me that whether in current, as of now, whether compensation cess is there or it is not there? मेरा सिंपल सा क्वेश्चन आपसे है, 5 साल कंप्लीट हो चुके हैं, क्या जीएसटी का कंपनसेशन सेस एक्सटेंड हुआ है या नहीं हुआ? That is my simple question to all of you. Fine. So the answer is it has been extended till March 2026, but point to be noted, initial 5 year compensation to the state, like the name itself indicate that it is being levied, cess is being levied to compensate the state. But after 5 years, now till March 26, it has been extended. But please note, there is no compensation to the state. It means whether only central government will keep the amount. No, they have extended this because to repay the loan taken from Reserve Bank of India during the COVID period to compensate the state. So in the COVID period, there was very lesser collection. So that is the reason that they have taken the loan and they have continued the compensation given to the state. But for repaying that loan, they have extended this compensation cess to the March 26. So accordingly, goods imported into India are, in addition to the applicable custom duties, liable to IGST at such rate which is leviable under IGST or like article on its supply in India. Now, we were talking about bill of entry for home consumption, and the bill of entry filed for import of the goods look like this. This is a sample bill of entry just for your information. You can have a look on this. I hope you all have seen, but once again, you can see this particular bill of entry for home consumptions. Now, the point where the IGST is levied on imported goods. At which point the IGST is being levied? IGST is being levied and collected at the point when the duties of the custom are levied on the said goods under the Custom Act. Custom duty is leviable when importation of goods get complete. That is, when the goods become part of the mass of goods within the country. The taxable event being reached at the time when the goods reach the custom barrier and bill of entry for home consumption is being filed. So when we need to pay the IGST, when we need to pay the custom duty, when the bill of entry for home consumption is being filed. Underline this word because this point we are going to discuss in some time, that if someone is sold before filing the bill of entry for home consumption, what could be the treatment we are going to discuss. But yes, thus at the point of levy and collection of IGST is the point when the bill of entry for home consumption is being filed. Perfect. So we have already discussed. So directly come to the formula. So on what value we will pay the IGST on goods imported? The value determined according to the Custom Act section 14 plus basic custom duty plus any other sum which is leviable under any law for the timing in force as custom duty, but it will not include GST part. Can anyone help me to link this provision with the valuation chapter? क्या थोड़ी आप हेल्प कर सकते हो मेरी कि इसका लिंकिंग वैल्यूएशन चैप्टर के साथ कुछ है क्या? Is it somehow linked with the valuation of GST? This is my question to all of you. अगर आंसर यस है तो बताएं कैसे लिंकिंग है. The answer is it is linked. If you recall section 15 subsection 2 clause A of CGST Act, section 15 subsection 2 clause A of the CGST Act, which clearly says that any taxes or duties as levied under any law for the time being in force other than GST, that will be added in the value. And that is the same thing why we are doing. Why we are adding basic custom duty to pay the IGST? Why we are adding any other levy under custom like social welfare cess? Why we are adding? Because IGST is being charged on the assessable value plus custom duty plus social welfare cess or any other levy. The sum total of this on this amount, the IGST or compensation cess would be charged. However, the calculation is being given in chapter 2 and 4 of the module 4. Ah, 3.8a. This is very important. Can you please tell me what is the schedule 3? Can you please tell me what is the schedule 3? What is the schedule 3? Schedule 3 is what is the schedule 3? Answer is negative list. Thank you. Thank you, Kaushik. Schedule 3 is the negative list. Means we can say that neither supply of the goods nor supply of services. Correct? So it means there would be no GST. There is one para which we are going to interlink with these provisions. There is one para 8a, which we are going to discuss in this provisions. सो बाय इत्तेफाक से आप कह सकते हैं that this subsection is also 3 subsection 8A and schedule 3 which is interlinked, that is also para 8A. ठीक है. So the custom act permit that they have entered India to deposit the goods into the bonded warehouse on filing into bond bill of entry without payment of duty. It means if I have imported the goods, if I have imported the goods, I can just file into bond bill of entry and can keep the goods in the custom bonded warehouse without paying any custom duty. Perfect. The importer is at the liberty to transfer these goods on the basis of the documentation. The goods which were lying in the custom bonded warehouse, whether I have paid the IGST? Answer is no, I have not paid the IGST. There is a relaxation that I can just keep the goods in the custom bonded warehouse without making the payment of IGST. So I have kept the goods in the custom bonded warehouse. Now, if I will supply the goods, what is the GST impact? Supply of warehouse goods to any person. Please underline before clearance of home consumption. Before clearance of home consumption. What is the clearance for home consumption? Filing the bill of entry for home consumption. That if I am supplying the goods, it is lying in the custom bonded warehouse. I have not paid any duty. I have not paid any IGST. Now, prior to filing the bill of entry for home consumption, I have supplied these warehouse goods. I have transferred the ownership on the basis of the documentation to any party. In my hand, it is neither supply of the goods nor supply of services. It is neither supply of the goods nor supply of services. I hope it is clear. एक बार confirm करें. I hope it is clear, right? So, fine, no problem. So this will be, because it is covered in the schedule 3 para 8A, and therefore it will be out of GST. Now, what is the linking of the rule 42-43? Let me explain here. So rule 42-43, what it says. So we all know in the GST, there is a provision section 17 subsection 2, which talks about if I am making the exempted supplies and if I am making the taxable supplies. I am making the exempted supply and I am making the taxable supply. In that case, if there is common ITC, I need to reverse the common ITC. For the calculation of amount, there are two rules. Rule 42, which is applicable for input and input service, and rule 43 is applicable for capital goods. Now, what is the meaning of exempt supply? What is the meaning of exempt supply for the purpose of only 17(2)? ध्यान रखना, एक बात, please note one thing. Here, the word exempt supply has been defined only for the purpose of 17 subsection 2. So 17 subsection 3 says that exempt supply would include certain things, in which I'm only talking about explanation. And the third is talking about para 5 of schedule 3. Para 5 of schedule 3. Para 5 of schedule 3, what it says, that sale of land and building but completed building. So there is a reference of subject to the Schedule 2, Para 5, Clause B. If you see the entry number 5, Para number 5 of Schedule 3, you will find the cross reference. What is the cross reference? Wherein they have given the cross reference to the Schedule 2. So what is the Schedule 3, Para 5? Sale of land and sale of building, subject to Schedule 2, Para 5, Clause B. So in other word, I can say completed building after completion. Then on which there is no GST leviable, but that will be considered as exempt supply. Now the explanation says that rest all the entry of Schedule 3, are not exempt supply. इसका मतलब क्या हुआ कि बाकी जो भी ट्रांजैक्शन है जिसके ऊपर आपको जीएसटी नहीं देना है, that will not be considered as exempt, and as a result I can say I am not required to reverse the ITC. Now this I am talking about the provision which is not applicable on the next exams, but yes, this is a recent amendment. Therefore, I am talking about this provision. Schedule 3, as of now, they have covered only Para 5 under exempt supply. Now they have covered one more para. What is that? Para 8A. What is the Para 8A? The discussion which we are doing. It means if the warehouse goods are sold prior to the bill of entry for home consumption, then that is covered in the Para 8A, not required to charge the GST. But for the purpose of the Rule 42-43, this particular supply would be considered as exempted, and if there is common ITC, you need to reverse. I hope it is clear. Please note, this is an amendment which I have explained only for your knowledge purpose. It is not linked to your upcoming exams, because it is the amendment by the Finance Bill 23, which is yet to be notified. Correct. Mansa, there is no taxability. Schedule 3, they are not made any taxability. It's still the same, only two paras, Para 7 and Para 8, Para 8A and Para 8B. What is that? So you ask the question, that is the reason I'm telling you. But again, this point is not relevant for your exam because it is yet to be notified. It is an amendment in the Finance Bill 2023. What is the amendment? The Para 7, Para 8A and Para 8B. All these three para we are going to discuss in this chapter. But Para 8A, which is supply of the warehouse goods. Para 8B, nothing but the high seas sale. And Para 7 is sale, purchase from the non-taxable and directly separate the non-taxable territory. Supply the goods directly to the non-taxable territory from non-taxable territory without being entered into India. These three para, if you refer the Schedule 3, it was not there since beginning. When it has been inserted, it was inserted on 1st Feb 2019 with prospective. So there was a multiple doubt is being raised to the taxpayer that because it has been added in the Schedule 3 from 1st Feb 2019, so the field formation GST officer is creating the demand between 1st July 2017 to 31st Jan 2019. Why the demand is being created? Because the officer was saying that now these two new entry are added in the Schedule 3, but it is not retrospective. It is prospectively from 1/2/2019. So they are saying kindly pay the GST. And now it has been clarified that Para 7 and Para 8A or 8B will be retrospectively applicable It means it is applicable from 1 July 2017. Mansa, very good question. I hope it is clear what is the amendment. Again, this amendment is not applicable for the next exam because finance will yet to be notified, and once act will be there, finance act, and then it will be applied. So there is two amendment which we have discussed in detail. Let me go back. ठीक है ना मानसा, एक बार कंफर्म करें बेटा. So everyone able to understand? एक बार confirm करें. Requesting everyone to please confirm in the chat, so that I can see that you are also actively participating. Is it clear? Fine. Now I can say the schedule 3. As of now, I can say the only one para, that is para 5, is covered in the 17.3. Therefore, we can say that because of this sale, supply of the warehouse goods before filing of bill of entry for home consumption, as of now, it is not covered in 17 subsection 3, and therefore, there is no requirement of reversal of common ITC as per the 42 and 43. Thank you so much, Mr. Moli Sham Kumar. So requesting every participant to chat with me यार. ऐसा मालूम चलेगा कि आप लोग इंटरेक्टिव, आप लोग एक्टिव भी है और इंटरेक्शन कर रहे हैं. Otherwise, I feel that there is only 2 participants, Mansa and Kaushiki. Thank you, Sham Kumar. Requesting everyone to give the to discuss something in the chat. Chaliye sir. It is noted that basic custom duty paid on the warehouse goods at the stage of X bonding is calculated on the value determined under section 14 at the time of filing of into bond bill of entry for home consumptions. However, value of the imported goods for levying IGST in case of the supply of the warehouse goods is to be determined as under transaction value or value determined at the time of filing into bond bill of entry section according to section 14 plus custom duty plus other cess leviable in force excluding GST and compensation cess whichever is higher. Now, if the goods are sold more than once, which while being deposited in the warehouse, the last transaction value is taken as the transaction value for the purpose of determining the or for the purpose of levying the IGST. Let's say if only the part of the goods are sold, then the two values that are to be compared are first transaction value of the goods sold and the proportionate value of the goods sold. Determined at the time of filing of bill of entry, filing into bond bill of entry under section 14 plus same formula, basic custom duty, other cess and other than GST. The remaining goods which are not sold are assessed on the value determined according to section 14 and then add custom duty and then add any other levy. Now we are talking about taxability of high C sale. The same thing, it is covered, high C sale is being covered in the para 8B of the schedule 3. So again, I can say the para 8B. So therefore, there is no GST. Liability on the high C sale, point number 1. Point number 2, that there is no requirement of reversal of common ITC. Why? Just now we have discussed explanation to 17 subsection 3. So high C sale. So again, explanation to 17 subsection 3 says, it says that schedule 3, only one para you are required to reverse the ITC. It means for rest of the para, like para 8b, do I need to reverse common ITC? The answer is no, because it is not considered as exempt supply. Because it is not considered as exempt supply. Okay. So explanation to 17.3, for the purpose of reversal, it is not included in the exempt, therefore there is no requirement of reversal of common ITC. You can read this also. Supply the goods by the consignee to any other person by endorsement, sure Kaushiki, of the title of the endorsement of the document of the title of the goods after the goods have been dispatched from the port of origin. Let's say I have purchased the goods from USA coming to India, and in between I have sold to any person, whether it is of Indian person or it is out of India. So the goods were on high seas, and on the basis of the endorsement of the document, I have transferred the ownership title to some other person. In my hand, the sale of high seas is not leviable to GST because it is covered in the para 8b of the schedule 3. Okay. And then no requirement of reversal of ITC. As per section 14, the value for the purpose of charging custom duty on the imported goods is the value at the time of importation, that is at the time of filing the bill of entry. Further, IGST is also levied at the filing of bill of entry. Therefore, in case of the high C sale, the assessable value of imported goods for levying custom duty and IGST is determined on the basis of the price paid by the last high C sale buyer and who filed the bill of entry for home consumption. Please do not treat that suppose USA to India. So goods were coming from USA to India. Mr. A has sold the goods to Mr. B. Let's say Mr. B has also sold the goods to Mr. C. Then when Mr. C filed the bill of entry for home consumption, then only the question of custom duty and IGST is come into the picture. So they are saying that the assessable value of imported goods is determined on the basis of the price paid by the last buyer, that is Mr. C, who filed the bill of entry for home consumptions. There is a clarification. Circular 33 has clarified that importer would be required to furnish the entire chain of the document, such as original invoice, high C sale, details of services, etc. So you need to provide these details. Now, what is the third party shipment? The third party shipment is nothing but the covered in the para 7 of schedule 3. Para 7 of the schedule 3. What is the main point in this? Again, the concept of reversal of ITC, concept of levy of GST would be the same as we have discussed in the previous two paras. It means I have purchased from USA and directly moved to the UK. I have purchased the goods from USA, directly moved the goods to UK without being entered into India. Viraj Desai, I request just we have one separate chapter, correct? We have one separate chapter. If today time permit, I'll try to explain the relevant reporting part in the returns if time permit. Otherwise, I will take definitely in the last chapter GSTR 3B and GSTR 1. But it is very simple, sir. It is very simple. So allow me that we will discuss this either at the end of the today or we'll discuss in the relevant chapter. So GST returns. So which point you are asking, Kaushiki? Fine. So the third country shipment, custom port, Kaushiki at custom. So when the goods reaches India, I have to let's say we are appointing the custom house CHA for clearing the goods. So he will file the bill of entry or any other document to the custom department and then arrange the get good released. Okay. The third party shipment or triangular trade is a common practice when the goods move from one country to another without being entered into India. But invoicing would definitely be done by the Indian party to the foreign party. What is the transaction? Goods have been purchased from USA and directly supplied to the UK without being entered into India. Mr. A, the USA party will raise the bill to the Mr. A and Mr. A will raise the bill to the UK. Mr. A will raise the bill to the UK. Now the point is whether this Mr. A need to pay the GST on this transaction. Answer is no. Because it is covered in the para 7 of schedule 3. It is covered in the para 7 of schedule 3. So para 7 of the schedule 3, it says that supply the goods from a non-taxable territory to the non-taxable territory without being entered into India. The third country shipment is treated neither supply of the goods nor supply of service. Fine. And further same thing, there is no requirement of reversal of common ITC because explanation to 17 subsection 3 say that explanation to 17 subsection 3 says that schedule 3 except para 5 are not considered as exempt and therefore there is no requirement of reversal of ITC. Whereas one thing, this side, can you please confirm that do you remember the table number of GSTR 3B and GSTR 1? Do you remember the table number of GSTR 3B and GSTR 1? Just confirm so that I maybe quickly resolve your query. Just tell me, do you remember the relevant table number of the 3B and 1? So meanwhile, your reply is coming. Let me move to the further part. Taxability of goods imported by SEZ. So suppose I am SEZ unit, I am importing the goods. What is the taxability? Goods imported by the SEZ unit or SEZ developer for authorized operation are exempted from IGST according to 3 subsection 7 of Custom Tariff Act and the notification is 64 by 2017. So the SEZ unit are not required to pay IGST on the goods imported by the SEZ unit. What about the taxability of the import of the goods by EOU? What is the EOU? Export oriented unit. The goods imported by the export oriented unit would attract liability to custom duty. Import of goods by 100% EOU are governed by this notification. EOU are allowed duty-free import of the goods under the said notification. However, exemption is available from IGST till March 22. Imports as baggage. So passenger baggage is exempted from IGST as well as compensation cess. Basic custom duty would be 35% and applicable welfare cess is leviable. Okay. Now we are moving to the next part, that is import of services. Now we are moving to the next part, that is import of services. For import of the goods, there is only one condition. For import of the goods, there is only one condition, but for import of services, there are three conditions. For import of services, there are three conditions. What are that? What are those conditions? See, import of services. The supplier should be located, you tell me, India or out of India? The location of recipient, LOR, should be India or out of India, you have to tell me. And third thing, I am telling the place of the supply should be India, and this would be determined according to section 13 of IGST Act. Why 13? Because in case of services, either 12 or 13 would be applied. When we are applying 13, sir, when any party, either supplier or recipient, is out of India and another party is in India. So import of services, one party would definitely be out of India, one party would be in India. Therefore, the service place of the supply would be determined by using the section 13. For the purpose of reporting in the GST, is it? Whereas this side. एक काम करना खाली. Can you do one thing? Can you do one favor? Please take the printout of the GSTR 3B and GSTR 1. Not in today class, in subsequent class. Whenever time permit, I'll explain you. You remind this question in the subsequent class. Please keep the printout with you. And then I'll teach some point. You have to give the answer. Your doubt would resolve with respect to import export. So as correctly told by Kaushiki, great. Supplier is located out of India. Supplier is outside India. And recipient is located in India. Then place of the supply should be in India. Therefore, then only this transaction would be called as import of service. Schedule 1, para 4. Now, let me talk about this point also. Can anybody quickly tell me, for saying that transaction supply, there are two important elements should be there. According to section 7, subsection 1, I'm talking about CGST Act. The definition of the supply, which talks about the two important pillars, has to be there in a transaction to say the supply. Can you please tell me the two important pillar, two important component has to be there to say that transaction as supply? Quickly tell me. It is an inter question. It is question linked to your inter class. So when you all are appearing in the CA final, can you quickly tell me when you all are appearing in the CA final, which attempt, which year you are appearing? Please quickly tell me that which year you are appearing in the CA final. According to section 7 subsection 1, there are two important pillars. One is the business and second is the consideration. Thank you. One is the consideration and one is the business. If there is no business, transaction cannot be supply. If there is business but no consideration, prima facie transaction cannot be the supply, sir. Now, there is one exception to the business condition and there is one exception to the consideration. There is one exception to the business condition and there is one exception to the consideration. What are those exceptions? If you talk about that in case of import of services, in case of import of services and there is consideration, then whether it is for business or personal doesn't matter. Whether or not in the course or furtherance of business, transaction would be considered as supply. It means prima facie we have understood that it should be in the course or furtherance of the business. But what is the exception? The exception is if service has been imported and there is a consideration, then it is not material whether it is for business or personal. We are going to spend some good time on this particular discussion. It is business or personal, doesn't matter. So where it is written, section 7 subsection 1 clause B of CGST Act. Okay. Similarly, if there is no consideration, if there is no consideration, can it be supply? Can it be supply? Answer is no, it cannot be supply. एक मिनट दीजिएगा खाली. So the service which I have imported, and if consideration is being paid, then without business it will be supply. Now, is there any exception to the consideration? Answer is just schedule 1. Schedule 1. What is that schedule 1? Schedule 1 talking about 4 para, but right now I am only talking about para number 4. Kya baat hai. Thank you so much, Mansa. Very nice, Kaushik. The schedule 1 para 4 talk about if I have imported the services and it is without consideration. If I have imported the services, but from whom? From related party or from any other entity of the same business outside any other establishment outside India of the same entity. If I have imported the service from related parties or I have taken the same from any other establishment of my same organization, in that case, even without consideration, it will be the supply. 2 point is clear. These 2 point is clear. The relevance or import of the service, even personal transaction and sometime even without consideration would also be treated as supply. What is the para 4? Import of service from a related person or from any of its other establishment outside India in the course or furtherance of the business, it will be supply. Para section 5.1 I am not reading, already discussed. Section 5.3 is nothing but the reverse charge sections. What is that? The government on the recommendation of the council notify specific categories of the goods or services, the tax on which shall be paid on reverse charge by the recipient, and all the provision of this act shall apply as if he is the person liable for paying the tax in relation to that supply. So we know the concept of reverse charge. I'm not talking about the reverse charge concept in detail, but yes, some part we are going to discuss. And what is this? Section 5, subsection 5. This concept is the deemed supplier. This concept is the deemed supplier. If the services has been supplied through e-commerce operator, if the service has been supplied through e-commerce operator, then such e-commerce operator will be considered as deemed supplier and liable to pay the GST. Simple example. Try to understand. Let's try to understand. I am having one restaurant. Mr. B has given the order on Zomato. Mr. B has given the order on Zomato to me. I am hotel. I am owning a restaurant. The goods, the food has been supplied through Zomato to Mr. B. Now, as per currently there are the 4 services has been notified in the 9 subsection 5, or you can say 5 subsection 5. Quickly, anybody can tell me that what are the 4 category of the services which has been notified in the 5 subsection 5 or 9 subsection 5. Quickly tell me. I am taking only half-minute break. Half-minute break leta hu main. Please tell me meanwhile that what are the services which is being notified in the 5.5 in which the e-commerce operator would be the deemed supplier. The answer is right, Geeta Patel. Geeta Patel has only given the answer. What about the rest of the participant? Kaushiki, Mansa, Viras Desai, Moli Sham Kumar. Kindly tell me what are the 4 category of the transaction which are considered as deemed supplier. This we have already, you must have already discussed in the CA inter syllabus. You have to tell me that what are the 4 nature of the transaction which has been added by way of notification in the section 9.5 or 5.5 category. Fine. I'm just giving the example like transportation of passenger, for example, Ola Uber. Transportation of passenger, Ola Uber. Hotel accommodation like Oyo Rooms. Small carpenting plumbing like Urban Company, and 4th is restaurant, that is Zomato. I'm not reading in detail, but that is the brief about 5.5. Now, in this case, what happened? In this case, what happened? The mediator, e-commerce operator would be considered as deemed supplier. This e-commerce operator would be treated as deemed supplier, and this ECO are liable to pay the GST. If he does not belongs to India, then the proviso says he has, if e-commerce operator does not have the physical presence in India, taxable territory in India, then any person representing such ECO for any purpose in India, in that case, that person representative would be liable to pay the GST. If neither ECO have the presence in India, nor he has the representative in India, then what happened? It says that in that case, the e-commerce operator has to appoint one person in the taxable territory for the purpose of paying the taxes. So this is all about the 5 subsection 5. Now, like we have discussed, import of the goods, 7 subsection 2 of IGST, it is an interstate supply. Similar 7 subsection 4, that import of services would be interstate supply. Clear? Now, section 9, you should read section 9 of IGST. So, notwithstanding anything contained, where the location of the supplier is in the territorial water, the location of such supplier, or where the place of the supply is in the territorial water, then place of the supply. It means either location of supply or place of the supply. If it is in the territorial water, then section 9 says, for the purpose of this act, deeming provision that shall be deemed to be located to the nearest coastal state where the appropriate baseline is located. We know India has the baseline, and out from that there is a territorial water, and after that there is an exclusive economic zone. So India is till here, correct? So if one is doing the business in the territorial water, or one person is located in the territorial water, either location of supplier or place of the supply, if it is in the coastal state or UT, then क्या माना जाएगा? It will be deemed, क्या माना जाएगा? It will be deemed that he is located, or place of the supply is the nearest point of the appropriate baseline. So coastal states where the nearest point of the appropriate baseline is located. जो भी पास में baseline है ना, तो जो भी वो coastal state है या union territory है, that will be the location of supplier, and उसे वहां पे registration लेना पड़ेगा. Place of the supply हम डिस्कस कर चुके हैं कि सेक्शन 13 प्लेस ऑफ द सप्लाई, जहां पे एक पार्टी लोकेशन ऑफ सप्लाई नो प्रॉब्लम विराज, नो प्रॉब्लम. सो एक काम और करना, आप सभी लोगों से रिक्वेस्ट है मेरी. सो शेड्यूल आपके पास में, लाइक नेक्स्ट क्लास रिफंड है, तो आप लोग है ना एक बार उस चैप्टर को पढ़ के आइए. आई humbly request everyone that please read the entire chapter before coming to the class. You all have the allocation, correct? मैं next class में क्या पढ़ाऊंगा, उसके बाद में क्या पढ़ाऊंगा. So prior to coming, at least give some time to the reading on the entire chapter. या जितना हो सके उतना पढ़ के आइए. You will have the benefited by this class. तब और मजा आएगा इस क्लास से. अभी आई होप यू ऑल आर एंजॉयिंग. मैं एज्यूम करता हूं कि आप लोगों को मजा आ रहा है पढ़ने में, बट अगर आप प्री रीडिंग करके आएंगे ना तो बहुत मजा आएगा. ठीक है, कमिंग टू द डिस्कशन. सेक्शन 13 क्या होता है? सर्विस के केस में हम बात किसकी करें? इंपोर्ट और सर्विस की. और सर्विस में इंपोर्ट में क्या होगा? एक पार्टी इंडिया के बाहर है, सप्लायर, और रिसिपिएंट इंडिया में है. तो कौन सा सेक्शन अप्लाई हुआ? आंसर इज 13 फॉर प्लेस ऑफ द सप्लाई. ठीक है, जो हम मतलब जो आप लोगों ने ऑलरेडी पढ़ लिया होगा, चैप्टर 5 प्लेस ऑफ द सप्लाई इन शेड्यूल 1. ठीक है, कोई दिक्कत नहीं. अब देखो सेक्शन 14 जो है ना, ओइडार, ऑनलाइन इंफॉर्मेशन डेटाबेस एक्सेस रिट्रीवल, ये थोड़ा बड़ा इंपॉर्टेंट है. इसको ना पहले मैं आपको एक्सप्लेन करता हूं और आप मुझे कंफर्म करें ये समझ में आ गया. अगर आपको कॉन्सेप्ट समझ में आ गया तब हम इसका थ्योरी पढ़ना स्टार्ट करेंगे। थोड़ा सा मैं पैटर्न चेंज करता हूं ओनली फॉर सेक्शन 40। मैं आपको पूरा नहीं पढ़ाऊंगा, पहले मैं आपको थोड़ा सा समझाने की कोशिश करूंगा। आई ट्राई टू एक्सप्लेन समथिंग इन शॉर्ट। जब वो समझ में आ जाएगा देन वी विल स्टार्ट रीडिंग द लैंग्वेज ऑफ द सेक्शन 40। अब हम बात करें ओइडार की। OIDAR, व्हाट इज दैट? ऑनलाइन इंफॉर्मेशन डेटाबेस एक्सेस रिट्रीवल सर्विसेज। क्या होता है OIDR? इसमें ना दो एलिमेंट इंपॉर्टेंट होते हैं। एक तो सर्विस हैज बीन रेंडर्ड थ्रू IT। क्या है? इट इज ऑटोमेटेड सर्विसेज। इसमें मिनिमम ह्यूमन इंटरवेंशन होता है, मिनिमम ह्यूमन इंटरवेंशन। इट इज नॉट पॉसिबल, मतलब दिस सर्विस इज नॉट पॉसिबल टू प्रोवाइड इन द एब्सेंस ऑफ इंफॉर्मेशन टेक्नोलॉजी। तो if the services are automated without or very minimum human intervention and it is not possible in the absence of information technology, तो ऐसी सर्विस को हम क्या कहते हैं? OIDAR। ठीक है। अब जो पॉइंट हम डिस्कशन कर रहे हैं यहां पर, द पॉइंट विच वी आर डिस्कसिंग हियर, if the service provider is OIDAR located out of India, located outside India, and जो सर्विस रिसीव कर रहा है वो इंडिया में है। ये कौन है? ये प्रोवाइडर है, ये सप्लायर है, और रिसिपेंट कौन है? इंडिया में। कौन है इंडिया में? लेट्स से इट इज ए रजिस्टर्ड पर्सन इन द GST। इट इज ए रजिस्टर्ड पर्सन, मतलब बिजनेस एंटिटी है, और लेट्स से अनरजिस्टर्ड पर्सन। अब इसको मैं एक टेक्निकल नाम दे रहा हूं, आप इसे NTOR बोलेंगे। व्हाट इज दैट? NTOR, नॉन टैक्सेबल ऑनलाइन रेसिपिएंट। ये डिस्कशन ध्यान से सुनिएगा। इफ दिस कॉन्सेप्ट इज क्लियर ना, then it would be very easy to understand the theory. I'm saying that service provider who is located outside India, and what is the nature of the services? OIDAR, online information database access retrieval, like Netflix, like I have purchased the domain on the GoDaddy, I'm using the Facebook, WhatsApp. These are the OIDAR services, sir. These are the OIDAR services. I'm providing the classes through Zoom. Is it OIDAR? Because it requires the human intervention. I would need in this class, then only the class would be conducted. So it is not OIDAR. Let's say you are watching the class on YouTube. After my class is over, you can also access on YouTube. Then that category would be OIDAR. So what is OIDAR? I hope it is clear. We are talking about if the service provider is located outside India. See, my discussion, I'm assuming it is outside India. I'm not saying that it will always out of India. It can be in India also. But first try to understand if the OIDAR service provider is located outside India, and they are giving the service to the business entity who are registered in the GST, or they are giving the service to the NTOR. Now I am going to use the small word, short word, NTOR. What is the full name? Non-taxable online resident. online recipient. What is the meaning? It is nothing but an unregistered person. If the recipient is a registered person, he will pay the tax under. Can you fill in the blank? Can you fill in the blank? Can you give me the reply? Can you give me the reply? If the recipient is registered person, then who will pay the tax? Please confirm. Who will pay the tax? If the recipient is registered person, then who will pay the tax? OIDAR or recipient? Mansa, Geeta, Kaushiki, Shyam Kumar, Viraj, thank you so much. Mr. Shyam Kumar, thank you so much. It will be covered under reverse charge mechanism. The recipient has to pay the tax under reverse charge. Correct. Otherwise, if the recipient is NTOR, point to be noted, here the liability to pay the tax is shifted to the service provider. OIDAR has to take registration in India. OIDAR has to take registration in India and pay the GST. So if OIDAR providing the service in India to NTOR, then the transaction would be covered under forward charge basis and they have to take registration in India. If the recipient is the business entity, it means registered person, then RCM. यहाँ तक तो बात क्लियर है. Till now is it clear? Please tell me, till now is it clear? एक बार कंफर्म करें, यहां तक क्लियर है ना, कोई कंफ्यूजन नहीं है. Is it clear till now? थोड़ा और आगे बढ़ते हैं. We'll talk about something more. फाइन, यहां तक क्लियर है. चलो ग्रेट. अब हम बात करते हैं. इफ यू रिकॉल सेक्शन 24, the clause number 11 which talks about if the OIDAR who is located out of India and recipient is NTOR, non-taxable online recipient in India, then this OIDAR has to take compulsory registration in India. So now we are talking about that requirement of the registration of OIDAR. So we are saying that OIDAR has to take compulsory registration because it is covered in section 24 clause 11. Okay. So let's fine. So this theory part, now we are starting that discussion. Now I'm going back to the study material and we'll discuss some more point with respect to the OIDAR only. Taxability of OIDAR services. Okay. Let me complete section 14 first. Let me complete section 14. What is that? On supply of OIDAR by any person located in the non-taxable territories and recipient is NTOR. So I'm using the word, I will not use the word online information database access retrieval. I will use the short word OIDAR. I will not use the word non-taxable online recipient. I will use the short word NTOR. Okay. So in that case, if the supplier is OIDAR located in out of India, giving service in India to the NTOR, the supplier shall be the person liable to pay the IGST and therefore he has to take compulsory registration. Now they are saying if provided that in case of the supply of OIDAR services by any person located in the non-taxable territory and recipient is NTOR, then who is an intermediary, the service mediate intermediary. So the person who is located out of India, instead of supplier, the service is being rendered through intermediary. Then liability would be on intermediary. So intermediary has to pay the tax under forward charge. He has to take compulsory registration. However, there are certain exceptions. Invoice or customer's bills or receipt issued or made available by such intermediary taking part in the supply clearly identify the service in question and its supplier in the non-taxable territory. The intermediary involved in the supply does not authorize the charge to the customer or take part in its charge, which is that the intermediary neither collect or process payment in any manner, nor is responsible for the payment between supplier and NTOR. The third is intermediary involved in the supply does not authorize for delivery. Fourth, the general terms and conditions of the supply are not set by the intermediary. In this case, the actual supplier would be liable to take registration and pay the GST. Otherwise, this intermediary can also take registration and pay the GST instead of supplier. Now, 14 subsection 2 says that for making the payment, OIDAR, they have given the option to take a single registration in India. They are not required to take the registration in every state. No, the OIDAR, they have given the simplified registration scheme. Government has given the simplified registration scheme that they have to take a only single registration, and that is located in Bangalore. So as of now, the government has given the centralized location as Bangalore. Same things if they have the, who can be NTOR example. Suppose I am purchasing the, suppose I am a student. I'm a student. I'm not registered. I'm an individual. I am a student. Let's say I have taken the subscription of Netflix. Let's say I have purchased the domain from the GoDaddy. So GoDaddy, person is located out of India, supplier is located out of India, service is OIDAR, and recipient is Arun. And Arun is not registered person. He is a student. He is not doing the business. In that case, the liability shifted to the GoDaddy. They have to take registration in India under the simplified scheme, Bangalore location, and then they have to charge the GST to Arun. When they are collecting the amount, they have to charge the GST on the bill raised to Arun. Is it clear? Whereas it can also be like I have taken the subscription of, let's say, Netflix. Same point would be applicable. Let's say I have subscribing to the YouTube. Same provision would be applicable. So in that case, if the recipient is unregistered, it is called as NTOR. Kindly confirm, is it okay? If not clear, then you can raise a counter question. Okay, fine. So again, they are saying if the person located in the taxable territory represent any person who is representing, then that person would be responsible. Or if no person is there who is represented, and also that company located out of India does not have the presence in India, they have to appoint a person. They have to appoint a person for the purpose of paying the IGST, and such person shall be liable for payment of taxes. Correct. Huh? So fine. Now we are moving to the analysis, but let's take a break of 15 minutes. एक बार अशोक जी एक बार कंफर्म करना आप में, अशोक जी ब्रेक 15 मिनट का है ना? ठीक है, चलो 15 मिनट का ब्रेक रख लेते हैं. We'll resume at 7:40. We'll resume at 7:40. Fine. So shall we start? अभी तक जो भी डिस्कशन किया, I hope it is clear. Now we are moving to the further part. Taxability of import of service, ये बात हम कर चुके हैं, मैं रिपीट नहीं करूंगा. Significance of business and consideration, ये भी हम कर चुके हैं. You remember that कि अगर मैंने सर्विस इंपोर्ट की है, कंसिडरेशन इज रिक्वायर्ड, बिजनेस टेस्ट नॉट रिक्वायर्ड. ये किसका हुआ? पैरा सेक्शन 7 सबसेक्शन 1 क्लॉज बी का. एंड इंपोर्ट ऑफ सर्विस फ्रॉम रिलेटेड ऑफ एनी ऑफ हिज अदर एस्टेब्लिशमेंट आउटसाइड इंडिया, तो कंसिडरेशन रिक्वायर्ड नहीं है. ये बात हम पढ़ चुके हैं. कहां पर पढ़े हमने? शेड्यूल 1. तो कंसिडरेशन रिक्वायर्ड नहीं है. सॉरी, बात हम पढ़ चुके हैं. कहां पर? सॉरी. So this we have discussed in the schedule 1 and para 4. ठीक है, चलिए सर थोड़ा आगे बढ़ते हैं. Now meaning of import of service, this point we have also discussed that there are the three conditions. What are the three conditions? That supplier should be located out of India, the recipient should be located in India, and the place of the supply should be in India. And how it will be determined? According to section 13. Why according to section 13? We have also understood. The reason is because the supplier and recipient in one party outside India and one party is in India. Therefore, we will apply section 13 of CGST Act or IGST Act. Section 13 of CGST Act or IGST Act. Sir, is it important to note section in the exam paper? No. You remember the concept, that is more than sufficient. You are not required to write the section number, but the concept is important. That's it. Now, so this is an import of service. Here, give me 1 minute. So, will you try that if the location, let me ask you the question, not this because you all have the study material. So let me ask the question. Say suppose the location of supplier is in UK. Location of recipient is, let's say, India, and place of the supply because of any provision of the section 13. Let's say it comes to UK. Will it be import of service or not? You tell me, will it be import of service or not? Kindly give the reply. Suppose I am doing one transaction for which the supplier is in UK, the place of the supply is UK, recipient in India. Will it be import of service or not? My simple question which you need to analyze. Give me the answer. Will it be import of service or not? Fully agree with you. I have received only one answer. Kaushiki, thank you. All the three conditions need to be satisfied. And here, which conditions are not satisfied? Kaushiki, which conditions are not satisfied? Which conditions are not satisfied? Thank you so much. Please note, it is not import. Please note, it is not import. Please note, it is not import. Then, why not import? Because place of the supply should be India according to the section 2 clause 11 of IGST Act. We have discussed the Definition of import. What is the definition? Location of supplier, out of India, satisfied. Location of recipient, India, satisfied. Place of the supply should be India. But here in this question, place of the supply is out of India. Therefore, it is not import. Next question to all of you, and it is very important. Will the GST be leviable on these transactions? Will the GST be leviable on this transaction? And very important question. It's a very, very important question. Will the GST be leviable on these transactions or not? Remember, the recipient who is making the payment is located in India. It's a very important question. I need the reply from each participant, each student. Because you have decided the transaction is not import or import, what could be next question? This next question, it is practically relevant for all of you. Will it be chargeable to GST? Will it be leviable to GST or not? Give me the reason. If you are saying no, give me the reason. If you are saying no, give me the reason. And this is worthy question. This is very, very important question which you are analyzing now. Give me the reason why it is out of GST. Is it covered in the Schedule 3? No. Is it covered in the exempt list? No. Then why it is not leviable to GST? Let me tell you that it is not import. It is not leviable to GST. Now I try to find out the reasoning why it is not leviable to GST. Reasoning. So I am fully agree with all of you that you are saying that yes, it is not leviable to GST. Why? Why? Fine, no problem. Remember one thing. If the location of supplier and place of supply both are out of India, it will be out of GST. You are saying the supplier is out of India and the place where the supply has been given according to section 13, it is also out of India. Why the Indian GST will come into the picture? Answer is no GST. And why no GST? Always remember in your mind. Always remember in your mind the location of supplier and POS out of India. It is not liable to GST. Whereas in my question, the supplier is located out of India. Go back. I hope there is some confusion. See, I am saying the supplier is located in out of India, UK. Supplier was not in India. Because supplier and place of supply both are out of India, so out of GST. Thank you. Great. Person liable to pay the tax under GST, that is okay. Now that is very important thing. How many participant knows the judgment of Mohit Minerals? How many participant knows the judgment of Mohit Minerals? Any yes or no? You have to tell me yes or no. Any participant who are having the basic idea about the Supreme Court judgment given in the Mohit Mineral. And that is very important judgment. Landmark judgment. Please tell me any participant who is knowing about that particular Supreme Court judgment in case of the Mohit Mineral. एक भी लाइन बताओगे तब भी अच्छा लगेगा. Please tell me one sentence also. Superb. That is much more appreciated. I need only one reason. I not required exact language. What is being done? No. I only need one line. I need only one line. Give me the answer. Waiting for your reply. So I'm looking to the left side because there is another system on which dashboard is open. So wherein I'm looking regularly to see the reply from each one of you. No problem. ठीक है विराज, कोई दिक्कत नहीं. Fine. ठीक है मनसा कोई दिक्कत नहीं. See, try to understand this particular example and then I will link with the Mohit Mineral judgment and why these certain one notification and one entry has been stuck down. Why? Let me explain. So first, let's say the recipient is Mohit Mineral. He has imported the goods. I'm talking about out of India, any. So I'll change certain just name and some the main concept would remain same to explain, but maybe the product or the supplier name or customer name can be changed, maybe changed by me. Supplier is located out of India. Recipient in India, he has imported the goods. He has purchased the goods. My question is it import of goods or not? Along with reason, you have to explain me. Along with reason, you have to explain me. Is it import of the goods? Answer is yes, it is import of the goods. Now let's say, now please understand everyone. Now let's say that goods has been moved through vessel. Goods has been moved through ship. And the shipping line company is also of UK. See, that is an import of the goods. Matter close. Now I am talking about import of services. Listen carefully. Now I am talking about import of services. What is import of services? Shipping line. It is also called as ocean freight. It is also called as ocean freight. So that particular Mohit Mineral party has purchased the goods from out of India, also taken the service from out of India to move the goods from out of India to India. Perfect. There could be the two possibility. So when we are purchasing the goods, there is a possibility that I have purchased on the terms of CIF. There is a possibility that I have purchased the goods on FOB basis, right? So if the goods is being purchased on CIF basis, or if the goods is purchased on FOB basis, what is the difference? See, if I have purchased on CIF, my supplier who is located out of India, would be responsible for cost of the goods, would be responsible for insurance, would be responsible for freight. So suppose I am purchaser, I would not be responsible. I would not be responsible at all. In that case, the earlier, prior to this judgment, they were saying the importer has to pay the GST on ocean freight. Because there is no separate bill, they are saying that you have to assume 10% of the CIF as the value for the ocean freight on which you need to pay the GST. That was by notification number 10/2017, and this particular notification has been struck down by the Supreme Court in case of the Mohit Mineral. मैं क्विकली रिपीट करता हूं, गुड्स आउट ऑफ इंडिया से इंडिया आया, गुड्स कौन से टर्म पर आया? CIF पर आया, जिसमें कॉस्ट, इंश्योरेंस और फ्रेट की रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी सप्लायर की थी। ठीक है, और क्या? अब जीएसटी में एक नोटिफिकेशन इश्यू किया गवर्नमेंट ने और कहा कि CIF के केस में आप जो शिपिंग लाइन का कॉस्ट है, ओशन फ्रेट है, उसको मान लोगे 10% ऑफ द CIF। ठीक है, और आपको उसके ऊपर जीएसटी देना है अंडर रिवर्स चार्ज। सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने कहा जब अगर गुड्स परचेज होता है CIF के बेसिस पर, तो कौन रिस्पॉन्सिबल है? ऑब्वियसली सप्लायर लोकेटेड आउट ऑफ इंडिया। देन इट इज नथिंग बट ए कंपोजिट सप्लाई। ट्राई टू अंडरस्टैंड कैसे इसने लिंक किया इस जजमेंट ने कंपोजिट सप्लाई के साथ में, जिसमें गुड्स, इंश्योरेंस एंड फ्रेट तीन एलिमेंट को मिक्स किया और तीनों एक साथ सप्लाई किया बंडल्ड नेचर में। तो जो सप्लायर है ना यूके वाला, उसने मुझे क्या सप्लाई किया? कंपोजिट सप्लाई किया, जहां पे प्रिंसिपल आइटम गुड्स है और मैं गुड्स के ऊपर टैक्स दे चुका हूं इंपोर्ट के टाइम पे। तो उस कंपोजिट सप्लाई में वापस एक एलिमेंट उठाकर मुझे टैक्स दोबारा नहीं दे, मतलब गवर्नमेंट कैन नॉट आस्क मी टू पे द टैक्स अगेन ऑन वन ऑफ द कंपोनेंट, एंड दैट इज द रीजन ये एंट्री को स्टक डाउन किया सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने। इज इट क्लियर? एक बार कंफर्म करें, इज इट क्लियर? देखो यहां, देखो आपको यहां पे दिखेगा मोहित मिनल में एक नोटिफिकेशन 10/2017 है और एक सीरियल नंबर 92 है, इन दोनों को अल्ट्रा वायरस का, इन दोनों को अल्ट्रा वायरस का। बहुत बढ़िया जजमेंट है, बहुत बढ़िया जजमेंट। लेकिन याद रखना सिर्फ सीआईएफ, लेकिन अगर आज मैं गुड्स इंपोर्ट करता हूं एफओबी बेसिस पर, तो सर मुझे देना पड़ेगा आरसीए में क्या, क्या देना पड़ेगा? आई नीड टू पे द जीएसटी ऑन आरसीएम। किस चीज पर? किस चीज पर? ओशन फ्रेट पर। ओशन फ्रेट पर गुड्स बाहर से इंडिया में आ रहा है, शिपिंग लाइन कंपनी मुझे बिल रेज कर रही है, आई हैव टू पे द जीएसटी ऑन आरसीएम। रिलेवेंट एग्जाम्पशन यू हैव टू। गीता चलो मैं आपको एक बार वापस एक्सप्लेन कर देता हूं, एक बार वापस एक्सप्लेन कर देता हूं। देखो गुड्स मैंने परचेस किया सीआईएफ पर, जिसमें कॉस्ट इंश्योरेंस फ्रेट किसकी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी? सप्लायर की। जीएसटी क्या कहती थी? अगर सीआईएफ में आपने माल परचेस किया है तो आपको ओशन फ्रेट पर टैक्स देना पड़ेगा, बट फ्रेट का पेमेंट कौन कर रहा है? मैं नहीं कर रहा, आई एम नॉट द रिसिपिएंट ऑफ द फ्रेट। कौन पे कर रहा है? बाहर वाली पार्टी कर रही है। क्यों? क्योंकि टर्म सीआईएफ है। इन्होंने एक नोटिफिकेशन इश्यू किया 10/2017 और इन्होंने कहा कि एज्यूम कर लिया जाएगा कि वैल्यू इज 10%। ठीक है, 10% वैल्यू है। अब फिर एक तो पहला बात है मैं पे नहीं कर रहा हूं, मैं लाइबल नहीं हूं, तो सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने कहा कि ये जो ट्रांजेक्शन सीआईएफ पे हो रहा है ना, ये बेसिकली कंपोजिट सप्लाई है, कंपोजिट सप्लाई है, जिसमें बाहर वाली पार्टी रिस्पॉन्सिबल है फॉर फ्रेट, फॉर इंश्योरेंस, फॉर कॉस्ट ऑफ द गुड्स। और कंपोजिट सप्लाई में टैक्स किस पे चुकाया जाता है? यू ऑल नो दैट वी नीड टू पे द जीएसटी, वी नीड टू पे द जीएसटी on the tax rate on the applicable on the principal goods on the entire combo। और वही हुआ, जब मैंने गुड्स इंपोर्ट किया तो मैंने पे कर दिया, जो भी प्रिंसिपल रेट थी गुड्स के ऊपर, सारी वैल्यू के ऊपर मैंने पे कर दिया। नाउ सुप्रीम कोर्ट सेइंग इफ द कंपोजिट सप्लाई हैज बीन टैक्स्ड, you cannot take the tax again on one of the part। So therefore they have struck down this notification and one of the entry 92। क्लियर? सुप्रीम कोर्ट ओवरराइड। हाँ हाँ, श्याम कुमार सबसे टॉप में जुडिशियरी है हमारे, हमारा जो सिस्टम है सबसे टॉप जुडिशियरी है, तो जुडिशियरी जो सुप्रीम कोर्ट का जजमेंट होता है दैट विल ओवरराइड द एक्ट आल्सो। गीता एक बार कंफर्म करना, इज इट ओके? एंड कौशिकी एफओबी क्या होता है? फ्री ऑन बोर्ड, मतलब बाहर वाली पार्टी सिर्फ रेस्पॉन्सिबल है गुड्स के लिए, ट्रांसपोर्टेशन मुझे करना है, इंश्योरेंस मुझे बियर करनी, एवरीथिंग आई हैव टू बियर। And therefore, in case of the FOB, because I am paying separately the freight charges, I have to pay the GST under reverse charge mechanism in case of FOB। Is it clear? तीनों पार्टिसिपेंट प्लीज कंफर्म करें, गीता, कौशिक एंड श्याम कुमार। कौशिक सॉरी, अगर मैं किसी भी बच्चे का नाम अगर गलत प्रोनाउंस करूं तो काइंडली एक्सक्यूज मी फॉर दैट। ठीक है, अब पर्सन लाइबल टू पे द टैक्स ऑन इंपोर्ट ऑफ सर्विस, वी हैव ऑलरेडी डिस्कस दिस पार्ट। मोहित मिंडल का जजमेंट मैंने आपको एक्सप्लेन कर दिया। इंपोर्टेशन ऑफ ऑइडार सर्विसेज, importation of OIDAR by the business entity, quickly tell me who will pay the tax if the service is imported of or nature of OIDAR services by the business entity? Please tell me who will pay the tax। थैंक यू बेटा। कौन टैक्स पे करेगा? if the OIDAR services has been taken by the business entity, who will pay the tax? OIDAR or business entity? आंसर करो यार। प्लीज यार आंसर करो आप सब लोग, काइंडली, आई नीड द आंसर. Viraj, when I am importing any goods at the time of clearance, they will take from me IGST, social welfare cess, custom duty, everything they will take from me, that importer. मेरा क्वेश्चन क्या था, अगर सर्विस इंपोर्ट करते हैं, क्या नेचर है ओइडार का, ऑनलाइन इंफॉर्मेशन डेटाबेस एक्सेस, एंड द रिसिपिएंट इन इंडिया इज बिजनेस एंटिटी. एग्जांपल भूल गए आप, फॉरगॉट द एग्जांपल. इफ द रिसिपिएंट इज द बिजनेस एंटिटी, रजिस्टर्ड पर्सन होगी, एंड दे हैव टू पे द टैक्स अंडर रिवर्स चार्ज. थैंक यू सो मच. एवरीवन आर क्लियर, एवरीवन इज क्लियर. Thank you so much, Kaushiki, Viraj, Geeta, Mansa, and Shyam. They have to pay the tax under RCM, and you know the reverse charge is covered in the mandatory registration section 24. Here I have talked about clause 11. Here I am talking about clause 3. In case of the import of services or export, sorry. In case the recipient is liable to pay the tax under reverse charge, it is liability on the recipient to take mandatory registration. Correct? And if it is NTOR, who will pay the tax? OIDAR. So this is clear? Fine. Importation of OIDAR service by NTOR, it is clear that the liability is shifted to the supplier and OIDAR has to take mandatory registration. Geeta, if the recipient is the business entity, it will covered by section 24(3). They have to take mandatory registration. It cannot be possible that they are unregistered. Provision or facilitation by intermediary, we have also discussed that OIDAR, matlab intermediary, so he will be liable. Other, let's read. Now, if an intermediary located outside India arrange or facilitate of such service to the NTOR, non-taxable online recipient, correct? The intermediary would be treated as the supplier who must get registered in India and pay the IGST. However, if the intermediary has nothing to do with the payment or authorizing the delivery or setting the terms and conditions, and if the invoice clearly identify the supplier, then the responsibility of registration would remain with the supplier. Provision enabling supplier located outside India to comply with the responsibility interested in India. Simplified registration scheme. They have to take a one single registration. As of now, the centralized location is Bangalore. Example. So now you can see the multiple example. PDF document manually email by provider. Manually hai. See, please read this particular condition. Service whose delivery is mediated by information technology over the internet. Condition number A. Condition number B. Service are automated and impossible to ensure in the absence of information technology. The two conditions, if both are satisfied, then it is called OIDAR. So it is automated, impossible in the absence of information technology. And this delivery is mediated through IT over the internet, etc. Now, PDF document manually email kiya hai, so condition 1 satisfied, but because it is manual, not automated, so condition 2 is not satisfied, and therefore it is not OIDAR. Automatically email, then obviously condition A and condition B both are satisfied. PDF document automatically download from site, both are satisfied. Stock photograph available, automatic download, both are satisfied. Online course, pre-recorded video and download, again it is automated over the internet, again both satisfied, OIDAR. Online course like by me, like I am providing the online course plus support from the live tutor. In that case, because it is not entirely automated, it have the human intervention, sizable human intervention, therefore it is not OIDAR. individual commission content agent content sent commissioned content sent in digital form. Again, it is not completely automated and human intervention is required. Therefore, it is not OIDAR. They have given the indicative list. So you can read this list: automated online distance, maintenance of the program, remote system administration, online data warehouse, where specific data is stored and retrieved electronically, online supply of online on-demand disk space, access or downloading software, software to block banner advertise, otherwise known as banner blocker, download driver, online automated installation of the filter or website, accessing download desktop themes. So these are the some sort of the example of OIDAR services. Absolutely correct, Mansa. ChatGPT, AI tool. Is it OIDAR? Yes, it is OIDAR. Since there was RCM concept in service tax before GST, I heard during articleship training is in automobile industries providing designing. It was there in service tax regime also. It was there. Now, if the service provided through ECO located outside India, Section 5, subsection 5 says an ECO is required to pay IGST on notified services if these are supplied through their portal. Correct. What are the notified services? We have discussed 4. Correct. And if they does not have the physical presence in India, then they have to appoint. Then they have to, representative would be responsible. If not the representative, then they have to appoint one person. Registration and ITC in case of import of the goods. Registration for importer of the goods. So if I'm importing the goods, do I need to mandatory register? See, reverse charge does not cover import. Importer are not in the section 24. Therefore, importer not required to mandatorily or compulsory registered in GST. However, it may be noted that if they are registered, then they have to quote the GST number in the bill of entry and they can avail the input tax credit. Registration in case of the import of exempted goods. Section 23, recall section 23, which talks about that if my outward supply, if my supply, not necessarily outward, if supply is exempted or not leviable to tax, okay, or agriculturist who is providing the produce out of the cultivation of land, correct. And third, government by notification. So section 23, basically subsection 1 cover these 2 things and subsection 2 cover government, they're giving the power to the government. So in the section 23, if one is exclusively engaged in these type of the supply, then they are not required to pay the GST. Then they are not required to take registration, correct? So IGST Act not required to obtain. In such case, PAN of the importer and exporter would suffice. The instruction number. Registration for import of service. Just now I have told you that section 24 subsection or clause 3. Section 24 clause 3. Correct? Huh? Section 24 clause 3. In case of the RCM, it is mandatory registration. In case of the RCM, it is covered in the mandatory registration. ITC would be available. Okay. Now we are ITC of IGST paid on ITC would be available. Now we are starting export. So before that, kindly confirm. Are you able to understand? Because this is the first class I am taking of the CA final. अपना पहला क्लास है, तो सभी को समझ में आ रहा है. जितना भी मैं पढ़ा रहा हूँ, तरीका सब कुछ समझ में आ रहा है. Everything is okay, clear. एक बार confirm करें, then I can move to the export chapter. Kindly confirm so that I can move to the export chapter. Export part. Abhi export. So in the export, 7 subsection 5 talks about that export is a interstate supply. Supply of the goods or services or both when the supplier is located in India and the place of the supply is out of India. Or to or by, please note, to or by from SEZ or to SEZ. If SEZ unit are sending the goods, supplying the goods to me or services, or I am supplying the goods or services to the SEZ. it will be treated as interstate supply. Okay. And third is the transaction that you can leave. Currently, we have to focus on these two clauses. 7 subsection 5 talk about when the supplier in India and place of the supplies out of India. What is that? Export. And clause B talk about that if the supply is being made to or by SEZ unit, then it is a interstate supply. Okay. Now it's very important. Section 8 talk about intrastate supply. Correct. In the section 8, there are two explanations which is relevant here. For the purpose of this act, where the person has an establishment in India and other establishment outside India. In that case, then such establishment shall be treated as an establishment of a distinct person. This point, clause 1 is important for our chapter. For this export chapter, the only clause 1 is important. Let me repeat again. See, explanation 1 talks about explanation 1 to the section 8. Uska clause 1 talk about if I have one establishment in India and one establishment outside India, it will be called the establishment shall be treated as an establishment of the distinct person. Kya hoga? Let me talk about. Very important. This explanation 2 is very important and mainly for export of service. What is that? A person carrying on the business through the branch or agency or a representational office in any territory shall be treated as having the establishment in that territory. This particular explanation is going to be used by me somewhere in the export of services. If I am carrying the person through the branch or agency or the representative office, then it will be deemed that I have the presence in that particular territory. Place of the supply, section 11 talk about export of the goods. If I am sending the goods from India to out of India, then out of India would be the place of supply. Section 13 talking about in case of the one service, one party is in India, one party outside India, you will apply section 13 to determine POS. Now, what is the zero rated supply? What is the zero rated supply? Is it an exempt supply? What do you understand? You all tell me what is the meaning of zero rated supplies according to your understanding. आपके अनुसार जीरो रेटेड सप्लाई का क्या मतलब है? Kindly tell me what is the zero rated supply. What do you understand? What do you mean by zero rated supply? What do you understand by zero rated supply? The word has been defined in the GST and there are two categories of the supply. One is supply to the SEZ unit or developer and one is export of the goods or services. If I am making the supply to SEZ unit or I am exporting, then it will be zero rated supply. Then it will be zero rated supplies. Is it same as exempt supply? Answer is no. Is it same as exempt supply? Answer is no. Because in case of the exempt supply, you are not allowed to take ITC. In case of the exempt supply, you are not allowed to take ITC. You have to reverse the common input tax credit. But the zero rated supply, you can take the ITC, you can take the refund and not required to reverse the ITC also. So now, let me read. Yes, I have to teach everything. So if I'm supplying the goods out of India, as you correctly told that export and send to SEZ unit or developer, absolutely correct. Now, if I am doing the zero rated supply, then point to be noted. Suppose I am supplying the milk in India. Milk is exempted in the GST. This is my outward supplies. Let's say I have certain input. Like say I have purchased the packing material on which I have paid the GST. I have purchased the box on which I have paid the GST. I have purchased the computer on which I have paid the GST. Or there is a rent on which I'm paying the GST, but my outward supply is exempted. Kindly confirm, can I take the ITC of all these items? I have only supply of the milk. Can I take the ITC? Yes or no? Can I take the input tax credit if my outward supply is exempted from GST? If my outward supply is exempted from GST, can I take the ITC? The answer is no, I cannot take the ITC. If my outward supply is exempted, I cannot take the ITC. That is the things which we have discussed bit about in 17.2 and 3. Correct. You can't take the ITC. But now, if suppose I am exporting this milk, I'm exporting the goods which are exempted in the GST. Make the difference. Suppose if I'm domestically supplying the exempted item, I cannot take the ITC by virtue of the 17.3 of CGST Act. Read with 17.2 of CGST Act. But if I am exporting the exempted item, now it becomes the zero rated supply. And zero rated supplies, you are allowed to take ITC. Zero rated supply will be considered as taxable supply. Zero rated supplies will be treated as taxable supplies. Read the language of 17 subsection 2. You will find that zero rated is treated as taxable and therefore you are allowed to take ITC. There is no problem. That is the things which is written in 16 subsection 2 of IGST Act. Please underline this word. Subject to the provision of the block credit, the credit of input tax may be availed for making zero rated supplies even though the supply is an exempt supply. Okay? Even though the supply is exempt supply. My humble request to all the participants, please stay till the end of the class, because in the last 10 minutes, I will ask quick round of the question. You have to give me the answer. I will ask the quick round of the question. You have to give me the answer. Okay, na? By this, the entire chapter would be revised. In the last 10 minutes, the entire chapter would be revised. Now, subsection 3 talks about that if you are supplying the zero rated, if you are making the zero rated supplies, then there are two routes. What are the two routes? I can make the supply under bond or letter of undertaking. So there are two routes. Either I will pay the taxes and take the refund of taxes paid. Suppose I am exporting the goods or services, or I am making the supply of the goods or services to the SEZ unit. It is zero rated supplies. Absolutely, it is zero rated supplies. But there are two routes available. There are two routes available. One route that, let's say the value is 10 lakh and the taxes is 5%, 50,000. I have paid 50,000 first and then take the refund of the 50,000. Permissible. Then let's read the clause B, that I can supply the goods or services on payment of IGST and claim the refund of that IGST paid. Second route, that if I do not like to pay the GST, then if I do not like to pay the GST, then I will file letter of undertaking, that is online process, or I have to furnish the bond, which is now very, very limited, which has been reduced very limited. Only in case of the defaulter, it is required. So I can file bond or I can furnish letter of undertaking, then can do the export or SEZ supply without payment of tax. मुझे टैक्स नहीं पे करना पड़ेगा और मैं बिना टैक्स पे किए हुए मैं सप्लाई कर सकता हूं. इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट, whatever the ITC which is accumulated to you, that will be refunded to you. मैं रिपीट करता हूं, अगर मैं एक्सपोर्ट कर रहा हूं, if I'm exporting on payment of IGST, then whatever the taxes I paid, I can take the refund. Refund is the next chapter. If I have exported on letter of undertaking or bond, I can supply without tax payment, no tax, but I can take the refund of accumulated ITC. ठीक है. The section 147 talks about the deemed export. What is the deemed export? Deemed export says that there is one notification. There is only one notification, which is 48/2017. Okay. So government will notify certain category of the goods. So deemed export can be for goods, not for services. What are the condition? Condition number one, where the goods does not leave India. The goods are within India. Second, payment can come in the foreign currency or INR, doesn't matter. Third, the goods should be manufactured in India. There are the three conditions, and that will be called as deemed export. So analysis part, what is zero rated, I have already explained, and that is okay. So difference in zero rated and exempted supplies, which attract nil rate of the taxes or revenue fully exempt from tax. So zero rated is not the tax is zero, there is a tax. But if you are supplying the goods to the export, if you are exporting or supplying the SEZ, it will be treated as zero rated. No tax on the outward supplies. However, the input supplies for making the exempt supplies to be taxed. No tax on the outward supply again, but yes, input supply also will be tax free. How it will be tax free? Because just now we have discussed that if I supply under LUT, then there is no tax on output supply. But yes, I can take the refund of accumulated ITC. This is very important. Credit of input tax need to be reversed. We have discussed 17 subsection 2 and 17 subsection 3. No ITC on exempt supply. Here we can say credit will be availed even if such supply is an exempt. 16 subsection 2 of IGST, and ITC allowed on zero rated supplies. Correct. Value of the exempt supply for apportionment of ITC shall include supply on which recipient is liable to pay the tax under reverse charge. Transaction in security, sale of land, and completed building. What is this? This is nothing but the 17 subsection 3 ka language. And this value of the zero rated sale shall be assumed as shall be treated as taxable supplies. Any person exclusively engaged in the business of the supplying the goods which are not leviable to tax, are exempt from tax, shall not be liable to be registered. However, person exclusively making zero rated supplies need to be registered to get the refund of accumulated ITC or taxes paid. Export of the goods, only one condition, that goods should leave India. Goods should leave from India to out of India. That is the only condition. Export of the goods required taking the goods from India to the place outside India. One of the similarity between exempted and zero rated in calculate. Very nice answer. Very nice. In calculation of aggregate turnover, the word aggregate turnover has been defined in the GST in the section 2 clause 6 of CGST Act. And aggregate turnover include taxable supplies, include exempt supply, as well as export. and one pen multiple GST. So export and exempt both are counted in supply. What is the letter of undertaking? How to obtain any form to be filled for the letter? Yes, Viraj, that is RFD 11. That is form number RFD 11. Once you log into the government portal, GST portal, so there is an option in the services tab. There is one option to file letter of undertaking. So it is only 1 minute task. You have to put the name, authorized signatory, etc. And you have to tick certain option and then you can submit. Once it is submitted, that is filed. You're not required to physically visit to the GST department. No, it is completely online process. Correct. Now, physical goods, 200 nautical mile from the coastal baseline, that is EEZ, exclusive economic zone. Okay. This is far beyond the normal definition of India, which only include territorial, which in turn extended 12 miles. Given that is okay. That is the definition of India, which we have discussed already. Correct. Now, sending the goods for exhibition purpose, for export promotion. There is a one circular 108, which talks about. Let me tell you only crux of this circular. See, if I'm sending the goods to out of India for promotion, for exhibition, in that case, there will be no consideration. Then this circular says, if there is no consideration, then it cannot be the supply. And in turn, it cannot be the zero rated supplies. So you can send the goods to out of India for exhibition, but they have given certain format. This circular is given certain format, which we need to furnish to the customer. Perfect. But this goods should come back within India within a period of 6 months, or it should be supplied after within a period of 6 months. If nothing happen, see, neither the goods are coming back, nor you have supplied the same. Then in that case, you have to reverse the ITC. Correct. So you can read this circular in detail. Okay. What is the deemed export? Just now I have told that there is one notification, 147 definition is being talking about 3 conditions, and there is only one notification which talks about there are the 4 transactions are treated as deemed export. I am Arun. I am making the supplies against advance authorizations. I am making the supply of capital goods against EPCG license. I am supplying the goods to the export oriented unit. I am bank or PSU and supplying the gold against advance authorization specified in the notification. One custom ka notification is being linked here. There are the 4 transactions which is treated as deemed export. First, supplying the goods against advance authorization. Second, supplying the capital goods against EPCG license. Third, supplying the goods to the export oriented unit. Fourth, supply of the gold by bank or PSU against advance authorization. These advance authorization, EPCG, these are the authorization given by the Director General of the Foreign Trade. That is being covered in the chapter 4 of the Foreign Trade Policy. Okay. EOU, Export Oriented Unit, or Electronic Hardware Technology Park, or Software Technology Park, or Biotechnology Park, approved in accordance with the Foreign Trade Policy. So these are the above has been discussed in detail in chapter 8 Foreign Trade Policy in the next module. ठीक है. अब बात करते हैं taxability of deemed export. See whether deemed export is zero, whether deemed export is export. Now see, point to be understand, whether deemed export is export, answer is no, because in the export of goods, let me talk about goods, sending the goods from India to out of India, it is export of the goods. But whether deemed export is good export, no. If the deemed export is not the export, then it is not the zero rated supply. It is not the zero rated supply, and because it is not the zero rated supplies, the LUT option is not available with you. Deemed export are not export and therefore are not zero rated supplies. Hence, all supplies are subject to levy of tax. First, you have to pay the tax, and then there is a refund provision available, which we talk in the next chapter. But there is Never, please do not do the mistake that LUT option is available to the deemed exporter. No. Now the concept is merchant exports. What is the merchant export? I'll explain with the help of example. Let's say there is A from Delhi. He is making the supply to B, and let's say he is from also India, Delhi or Mumbai, any party. B is further selling the goods to Mr. John, who is located from US. You tell me, who is exporter? A is exporter or B is exporter? Who is exporter in this transaction? Whether A is exporter or B is exporter. A located in Delhi, supplying the goods to B. He is also located in Delhi. B is sending the goods to USA, Mr. John. Now tell me, in this particular example, who is exporter? बड़ा सिंपल सा क्वेश्चन पूछा आपसे. The answer is Mr. B. The person who is exporter, will be also called as merchant exporter. Carefully listen. The person who is exporter will be also called as merchant exporter if some of the conditions are satisfied. What is the condition? We'll discuss. Mr. B, who is exporter, would also be called as a merchant exporter if the condition has been satisfied. What are the conditions we'll talk about? Then if it is satisfied, then A can make the supply to B by charging the GST at 0.1% IGST or 0.05 plus 0.05 CGST and SGST. What is the biggest advantage? That exporter who will be called as a merchant exporter, then he can purchase the goods or services at a goods. He can purchase the goods only at a nominal rate of 0.1%. By this, B, who is an exporter called as a merchant exporter, उसका वर्किंग कैपिटल में जो ब्लॉक होगा ना टैक्स के रिगार्ड में बहुत कम अमाउंट होगा. Concept clear है? Concept is clear. What is the benefit? That merchant exporter, which actually exporter, can purchase with a nominal tax rate of only 0.1%. If he is purchasing the goods at a subsidized rate of taxes, then he can do the export on LUT only. He cannot do the export on payment of tax. He cannot do the export on payment of IGST. Always remember this. We will discuss tomorrow next class. Rule 9610 is restricting if suppose goods has been purchased at a subsidized reduced rate and he is exporting the goods. He cannot do the export on IGST route. He has to do the export against LUT and take the refund of this 0.1%. Okay. So you can read this circular, that is okay. What are the conditions? Let's read the condition of notification 40 and notification 41 by 2017. Registered supplier shall supply the goods to the registered recipient on a tax invoice. So A will supply the goods to B on the tax invoice. Perfect. B shall export the goods within a period of 90 days. Next, the B shall indicate the GST number of A and the tax invoice number on the shipping bill or bill of export. Next, B shall be registered with Export Promotion Council and Commodity Board recognized by Board of Exchange. B should be registered with the Export Promotion Council or Commodity Board. The registered recipient, that is Mr. B, shall place the order on A for purchasing the goods at a subsidized rate, concessional rate. And this copy would goes to A and A's GST officer. Please note one thing, and this is the point where most of the merchant export transaction can be challenged. This is the point where most of the merchant export transaction are being challenged, because problem is no one is submitting the copy. Practically in life, no one is submitting the copy. The registered recipient shall move the goods to the place of the registered supplier. Either the goods should move directly to the port, or it can come to the registered warehouse, custom bonded warehouse, wherein they will do the aggregation. And after this aggregation, it will goes to the it will goes to the port. So if it is being aggregated, then they have to take the acknowledgement. They have to take the acknowledgement of the warehouse operator. Acknowledgement of the warehouse operator shall be provided, and then after goods have been exported. So once everything is being done, the registered recipient shall, the B shall provide the copy of the shipping bill having GST number and tax invoice with export general manifest. First is shipping bill, second is export general manifest. Shipping bill will contain the A ka tax invoice and A ka GST number. Okay. It will goes to the Mr. A and as well as A's tax officer. Okay. Now export of service. Now we are moving to the export of service. For exporting the services, there are the 5 conditions. For exporting the services, there are 5 conditions. What are the 5 conditions? First, location of supply. Exporting, the supplier would be in India, recipient would be out of India, place of the supply would be out of India. Fourth, amount can come in the foreign currency, or wherever permitted by Reserve Bank of India, it can come in INR. Repeating once again, the amount should come in the foreign currency, or wherever permitted by Reserve Bank of India, it can come in INR. Last and very, very important condition. The entity, Indian entity and outside entity should be separate entity. That is, they are not merely establishment of the distinct person. They are not merely establishment of the distinct person. Here there is one crux, one important point come. What was that? So remember, we have discussed explanation 2 to the section 8. This one. Suppose there is a holding company. There is a holding company out of India, and there is a licensing office or representative office or the branch office in India. Point to be noted. Now the branch is raising the tax invoice to the holding company. क्या ये ट्रांजेक्शन एक्सपोर्ट ऑफ सर्विस का होगा? आंसर इज नो. मैं रिपीट करता हूं, इंडियन एंटिटी is being established as a branch, licensing office या representative office. किसका? फॉरेन कंपनी का. और ये अगर अपने फॉरेन कंपनी को कोई टैक्स इनवॉइस रेज करती है, तो ये टैक्स इनवॉइस जो रेज होगा ना सर, ये इसके ऊपर जीएसटी लगेगा, बिकॉज इट विल नॉट बी ट्रीटेड एज एक्सपोर्ट ऑफ सर्विस. सेकंड, अगर इंडिया में मैंने सेपरेट प्राइवेट लिमिटेड कंपनी, सब्सिडरी कंपनी बना ली और आउट ऑफ इंडिया मेरी होल्डिंग कंपनी है, और वाइस वर्सा, होल्डिंग और सब्सिडरी विल बी ट्रीटेड एज ए सेपरेट एंटिटी. आप सर्कुलर नंबर लिख लीजिए, सर्कुलर 161. अभी रिसेंटली सर्कुलर गवर्नमेंट ने इश्यू किया, सीबीआई ने इश्यू किया, सर्कुलर 161, which talks about clearly that holding and subsidiary will not be treated, holding and subsidiary will not be treated as related parties, or they will be separate entity, and therefore the transaction would be considered to be export. But अगर उनका सेटअप एज ए ब्रांच, रिप्रेजेंटेटिव ऑफिस या कोई एजेंसी है, इन दैट केस they will not be considered as a separate, and therefore it will be the taxable and it will not be treated as export. I hope it is clear. एक बार क्विकली कंफर्म करना, ये इंफॉर्मेशन बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है, जो भी मैंने अभी आपके साथ बात की ना, दिस इज रियली वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. एक बार कंफर्म करना, इज इट क्लियर टू ऑल? ठीक है. अब ये देखिए, पेमेंट कैन कम इन INR wherever it is permitted by Reserve Bank of India. Why it is being added? Like if I'm exporting to the Nepal or Bhutan, then amount will never come in foreign exchange, foreign currency. It will always come in INR, and that is the reason we have extended we have added this particular point that amount can come in INR wherever permitted by Reserve Bank of India. ठीक है ना? अब सब contracting of service by an export of the service to the another person located outside India, subcontracting of the service by an exporter of service to the another person located outside India, that will be treated as export only. Let's read. If an exporter of service outsource the portion of the service contract to the another person located outside India, there may be the instance where the full consideration is not received by the exporter in India. The tax treatment of the said portion of the contract in the hand of exporter has been explained as under. क्या कंडीशन, क्या सिचुएशन है? लेट्स मी रिपीट. मैं एक्सपोर्टर ऑफ सर्विस हूं, मैंने कुछ पार्ट आउटसोर्स कर दिया. किसको कर दिया? मैंने किसी बाहर वाले पर्सन को कर दिया. मैंने आउटसोर्स किया एनी पर्सन लोकेटेड आउट ऑफ इंडिया. तो मेरे हाथ में टैक्स ट्रीटमेंट क्या होगा उस पोर्शन का जो मैंने आउटसोर्स किया. इसका डिस्कशन करते हैं. वेयर an exporter is located in India, supplying the service to the recipient located out of India, either wholly or partly, ठीक है, through any other supplier of the service located outside India. The following two supplies are taking place. एक मैं जो बाहर वाली पार्टी को कर रहा हूं, और दूसरा जो मैं बाहर वाली पार्टी से करवा रहा हूं. One is import of transaction somehow, and one is export of transaction. Supply the service from the exporter to the recipient located outside of India, full contract value, and one is import of service. Thus, the total value of service as agreed in the contract between the exporter and the recipient will be considered as export if all the condition given in 2(6) जो 5 कंडीशन की बात की थी, and 13 subsection 2 जो place of supply की बात करता है. ठीक है. The supplier would be liable to pay the IGST on reverse charge basis on import which has been provided. ठीक है. Therefore, even if the full, ये इंपॉर्टेंट लाइन है इस सर्कुलर का, सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट लाइन ये है, even if the full consideration of services as per the contract value is not received in the converted foreign exchange in India. क्यों नहीं आ रहा? क्योंकि मैंने कुछ पार्ट आउटसोर्स किया था और शायद उसको मैंने डायरेक्टली पेमेंट करने के लिए बोल दिया. ड्यू टू द फैक्ट दैट रिसिपिएंट ऑफ सर्विस हैज डायरेक्टली पेड टू द supplier located outside India. ठीक है. That portion shall also be treated as receipt of the consideration for export of service in terms of section 264. RBI by general instruction or specific approval has allowed that part of the consideration can be retained outside India. तो ये वाली condition होना जरूरी है. Now let me move to the common provision or aspect for export of the goods and services. Now almost we have completed. Let me touch certain more important. Supply to the SEZ unit or SEZ developer will always be considered as zero rated supplies. There was one important circular 48. They are saying, let's say if event management services, hotel, accommodation, etc. are received. Suppose I am having one hotel in Delhi or in Mumbai, and you are located in SEZ and you are also located in Maharashtra. Now you are using my accommodation services or consumable, etc. Then the transaction, like say a hotel, you have used that hotel. We all know that in case of the immovable property, the property ka location will be place of supply. Then ideally in the property C plus S would be charged. But in the initial, we have discussed that supply to the SEZ unit or developer would always be interstate supply and IGST should be charged. So doubt has been aroused that if the property has been given to the SEZ unit, what would be the place of supply? Will it be C+S or will it be IGST? The circular clarified that it will be IGST. Transaction with EOU, zero rating is not applicable to EOU. There is no special dispensation for them under GST regime. So you have to pay the tax and subsequently you can take the refund. Procedure for export, we have discussed. What is the export of the goods, export of services? What is the rule 96A? Try to understand. See, if I am furnishing the letter of undertaking, what does it means? What does it means? If I am furnishing the letter of undertaking, इसका मतलब क्या है? I am giving the undertaking. Rule 96A, capital A is applicable. It says that I will. So I am giving the letter of undertaking. What does it mean? It means I am giving the undertaking that goods के केस में I will export within 3 months, or I will in service के केस में I will bring the foreign currency within a period of 1 year. If I fail to do so, either I have not exported the goods within 3 months, or in case of services, I have not bring the realization within period of 1 year. Then after the expiry of 15 days from that date, जिस दिन भी 3 महीने खत्म हुए या 1 year complete हुआ, उसके 15 दिन के अंदर I will pay the IGST along with interest at the rate of 18%. क्यों? Because I have furnished the letter of undertaking, I have not paid the taxes, sir. I have not paid the taxes. So now they are saying you pay the taxes along with interest if you are failure to do the export of goods within 3 months and services if you fail to bring the realization within 1 day. ठीक है. Now, Rule 96B is basically talking about that in case of the export of the goods, if you have as per the time limit of the FEMA, it should be realized. Non-realization or partial realization will lead to the recovery of the refund. That we will discuss in the next class in detail. Failure to export goods and pay the tax along with interest within a period as specified. अगर मैं पे नहीं करता हूं, suppose I have not exported or I have not bring the realization and amount पे नहीं करता हूं within the 15 days, तो क्या होगा? उस एक्सपायरी के बाद में, वो टाइम पीरियड जब एक्सपायर हो जाएगा उसके बाद में ये माना जाएगा कि मेरी एलयूटी विड्रॉन हो चुकी है, मतलब मैं फर्दर एक्सपोर्ट अगेंस्ट पेमेंट ऑफ टैक्स ही करना होगा, एंड दैट अमाउंट वुड बी रिकवर्ड अंडर सेक्शन 79. तो रिकवरी का प्रोविजन है. कैसा प्रोविजन है? विल डिस्कस इन द, वी ऑल हैव द एडवांस टॉपिक now in my module, which module I have allocated by the institute, that is all advanced topics, so we are going to enjoy a lot. ठीक है. All registered person are eligible to furnish LUT who has, हाँ, तो बॉन्ड कब कंपलसरी है? याद रखना, हर केस में आप LUT के थ्रू एक्सपोर्ट कर सकते हो विदाउट पेमेंट ऑफ IGST. सिर्फ एक ऐसा केस है जहां पे LUT काम नहीं करेगा, बॉन्ड देना पड़ेगा. कब? अगर कोई पर्सन जो कि डिफॉल्ट करता है टैक्स का मोर देन 250 लाख, मतलब 2.5 करोड़ से ज्यादा, जिसमें टैक्स का कंपोनेंट 2.5 करोड़ से ज्यादा है, अगर उतने का डिफॉल्ट करता है, उससे ज्यादा का डिफॉल्ट करता है, इन दैट केस ही विल नॉट अलाउड टू डू द एक्सपोर्ट ऑन पेमेंट ऑफ IGST ओनली ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ LUT. उसे बॉन्ड फर्निश करना पड़ेगा. Clarification on furnishing the bond or letter of undertaking. Validity of LUT, it will be valid for the financial year. Form for LUT, it will be the RFD 11, and once you furnish the LUT online, automatically ARN number would be generated. और जैसे वो ARN generated हो गया ना, तो वो माना जाएगा कि आपने LUT फाइल कर दिया. There is no requirement of furnishing the hard copy to the department. Document for LUT, no document need to be physically submitted. Acceptance of LUT automatically accepted. हाँ, लेकिन if it is रिजेक्ट कर सकते हैं, उनके पास में रिजेक्ट का राइट है विद इन 2 days, इफ आई एम नॉट रॉन्ग, दैट 2 days में उनके पास राइट है रिजेक्ट करने का. बैंक गारंटी, सिंस द फैसिलिटी, बैंक गारंटी कब देना पड़ेगा? सिर्फ 250 लाख से ज्यादा का अगर किसी ने डिफॉल्ट किया है तो वो एलयूटी नहीं कर सकता, उसे बॉन्ड देना पड़ेगा टू डू द एक्सपोर्ट ऑन विदाउट पेमेंट ऑफ टैक्स। ठीक है। Clarification regarding running bond. The export shall furnish the running bond where the bond amount would cover the amount of the self-assessed estimated tax liability on the export. अब इसका इतना कोई रिलेवेंस नहीं है बिकॉज एलयूटी एक्सटेंड कर दिया सभी को। सीलिंग बाय ऑफिसर टिल मैंडेटरी सेल्फ सीलिंग इज ऑपरेशनलाइज्ड। सीलिंग ऑफ कंटेनर वेयर एवर रिक्वायर्ड टू बी कैरिड आउट। सर फॉर्म नंबर इज नॉट गिवन इन मॉड्यूल, तो छोड़ दीजिए, मतलब फॉर्म नंबर आपके केस में एप्लीकेबल नहीं तो रहने दीजिए, कोई इशू नहीं है, कोई इशू नहीं है। बट यस मैंने आपको बताया बिकॉज प्रैक्टिकली का जो फॉर्म नंबर है वो मैंने आपको बताया। यू कैन इग्नोर ऑल द फॉर्म नंबर्स, जस्ट आपकी नॉलेज के लिए यू कैन ट्रीट दैट फॉर द सेक ऑफ नॉलेज यू हैव अंडरस्टूड द सेम। सीलिंग बाय ऑफिसर, जब तक ये सेल्फ सीलिंग ऑपरेशनलाइज नहीं होती तो सीलिंग ऑफ कंटेनर शैल बी डन बाय द सुपरविजन ऑफ द सेंट्रल एक्साइज ऑफिसर। ठीक है। रियलाइजेशन ऑफ एक्सपोर्ट प्रोसीड इन आईएनआर, हाँ ये इंपॉर्टेंट है, पढ़ लीजिए। पैरा A5 पार्ट 1 ऑफ द आरबीआई मास्टर सर्कुलर 14/2015-16 स्टेट डेटेड इतना state that there is no restriction on invoicing of export contract in INR in terms of the rules, regulations, notification and direction framed under the provision of the FAMA. Further, in terms of the para 2.52 of the foreign trade policy, all export contract and invoice shall be denominated either in the free convertible currency or INR, but export proceeds shall be realized in the freely convertible currency. However, export proceed against specific export may also be realized in rupees, provided it is through a freely convertible vostro account of a non-resident bank situated in any country other than the member of Asian Clearing Union or Nepal or Bhutan. Further, 2.6 allow the realization in the Indian rupees wherever it is permitted. ठीक है। Jurisdictional officer in exercise of the power conferred by the subsection 3 of section 5, it is stated that LUT or bond shall be accepted by the jurisdictional deputy assistant commissioner having the jurisdiction over the principal place of business. The exporter is at the liberty to furnish LUT either at a centralized tax authority or a state tax authority. ठीक है। एक्सपोर्ट ऑफ द गुड्स टू द नेपाल और भूटान हमेशा एक्सपोर्ट माना जाएगा क्योंकि नेपाल और भूटान, देखो गुड्स के केस में कितनी कंडीशन है, ओनली वन, क्या है, फिजिकल मूवमेंट, अमाउंट कैसे आ रहा है, कहां पे सप्लायर है, कहां पे रिसिपिएंट है, इमैटेरियल है। सो इफ आई एम सेंडिंग द गुड्स टू आउट ऑफ इंडिया, इट लाइक नेपाल भूटान, इट विल बी export of the goods to the Nepal or Bhutan within the definition of export of the goods as the goods are taken from India to out of India. India has rupees trade with Nepal, Bhutan. The RBI regulation allow the recipient in receipt of the payment in INR. In case of the goods, the amount should be received in the convertible foreign exchange is not the prerequisite. Which prerequisite? Very good question. Shyam Kumar has asked very good question. That which option LUT better है कि on IGST better है? श्याम कुमार जी प्लीज वेट कीजिए, हम मिस्टर श्याम कुमार प्लीज वेट कीजिए, जो नेक्स्ट चैप्टर है ना उसका स्टार्टिंग इसी बात से होगा कि कौन सा ऑप्शन इज बेटर, एलयूटी बेटर कि ऑन आईजीएसटी बेटर, और किस रूट में जाने से हमें कैसे रिफंड मिलेगा, दैट बोथ थिंग वी विल डिस्कस इन द रिफंड चैप्टर। ठीक है। तो मोली श्याम कुमार आपको वेट करना पड़ेगा सिर्फ नेक्स्ट क्लास तक, आपका क्वेश्चन वहां पे आंसर हो जाएगा, बट रियली अप्रिशिएबल यू हैव आस्क्ड दिस क्वेश्चन। एक्सपोर्ट ऑफ सर्विसेज, यस, एक्सपोर्ट ऑफ सर्विस में क्या है कि नेपाल और भूटान को अगर आप एक्सपोर्ट करते हो तो उसका रियलाइजेशन फॉरेन करेंसी मानना चाहिए, या वेर एवर परमिटेड बाय रिजर्व बैंक ऑफ इंडिया इट कैन कम इन INR। तो INR परमिटेड है इस केस में, तो देयर इज नो प्रॉब्लम एट ऑल। सो आई होप इट इज क्लियर। बाय दिस आई हैव कंप्लीटेड माय चैप्टर। अशोक जी आप सेंट्रलाइज कर दीजिए, मेरा स्क्रीन शेयरिंग बंद हो जाएगा, मेरा स्क्रीन शेयरिंग बंद हो गया, यू कैन जस्ट सेंट्रलाइज्ड। ठीक है। तो चलो सर, एनी क्वेश्चन फ्रॉम योर साइड, अदरवाइज आई विल आस्क द क्विक राउंड ऑफ द क्वेश्चन, लास्ट 10 मिनट, उससे ज्यादा नहीं पूछूंगा। उससे क्या होगा, अपना एंटायर चैप्टर रिवाइज हो जाएगा, पूरा चैप्टर रिवाइज हो जाएगा, दैट्स इट। कोई क्वेश्चन आपका तो आप पहले पूछ लीजिए, अदरवाइज मैं स्टार्ट करता हूं। मेरी रिक्वेस्ट है आप लोग सभी लोगों से, अगर आपको आए और ना आए, इफ यू नो द आंसर, इफ यू डोंट नो द आंसर, काइंडली रिवर्ट इन द काइंडली गिव द रिप्लाई। मैं रिपीट करता हूं, मैं आपसे क्वेश्चन पूछूंगा, आप लोगों को रिप्लाई करना है। अगर नहीं आता तो आप कह दीजिए सर नॉट एबल टू रिकॉल, बट काइंडली पार्टिसिपेट, एवरी पार्टिसिपेंट इज रिक्वेस्टेड टू पार्टिसिपेट। बेटा एक बार सर्कुलर 108 पढ़ लेना, आपको पूरा प्रोसेस क्लियर हो जाएगा। नाउ माय क्वेश्चन इज what is the zero rated supplies? My question is what is the zero rated supplies? My question is what is the zero rated supplies? What is zero rated supply? Supply to the SEZ unit or supplying the goods, supply to the SEZ unit or export of the goods, export of goods or services, or supply to the SEZ unit goods or services. Very nice. Geeta, Viraj, Kaushiki, Mansa, Sham Kumar, everyone is giving the reply. Thank you so much. कौशिकी जस्ट क्विक रिप्लाई कर देता हूं, अगर गुड्स 6 महीने में वापस नहीं आता और अगर वो सप्लाई भी नहीं होता तो आपको ये मानना पड़ेगा कि इट इज ए सप्लाई एंड यू हैव टू रेज द टैक्स इनवॉइस। आपको ये टैक्स इनवॉइस रेज करना पड़ेगा, ठीक है। कमिंग बैक, क्या डीम्ड एक्सपोर्ट इज एन एक्सपोर्ट? क्या डीम्ड एक्सपोर्ट इज एन एक्सपोर्ट? whether deemed export is an export? गीता SEZ है, ध्यान रखना SEZ है, स्पेशल इकोनॉमिक जोन। याद रखना SEZ यूनिट और SEZ डेवलपर। SEZ है, जेड जेड फॉर जोन। क्या डीम्ड एक्सपोर्ट एक्सपोर्ट है? आंसर इज नो। अच्छा, एक बात बता सकते हैं कि हमने 3 ट्रांजेक्शन पढ़े थे शेड्यूल 3 का, विच इज नाइदर सप्लाई द गुड्स नॉट सप्लाई द सर्विस। वी हैव डिस्कस 3 ट्रांजेक्शन विच इज नाइदर सप्लाई द गुड्स नॉट सप्लाई द सर्विस। शेड्यूल 3 की बात कर रहा हूं। कैन यू प्लीज टेल मी व्हाट वाज दोज ट्रांजेक्शन विच वी हैव डिस्कस्ड? We have discussed some transaction of schedule 3 which is linked to this particular chapter. Can you please tell me what are the transaction which we have discussed of schedule 3? Let me talk about the para also, para 7, para 8A and para 8B. Please note, Viraj and Geeta, deemed export is not an export. First right answer Kaushiki. बहुत बढ़िया बेटा। First right answer by Kaushiki. What is the question? शेड्यूल 3 की 3 एंट्री, पैरा 7, पैरा 8A एंड पैरा 8B हमने डिस्कशन किया था कुछ, which is neither supply the goods nor supply service. क्या थी वो ट्रांजेक्शंस? What are those transactions? आंसर इज पैरा 7 मर्चांट ट्रेडिंग की बात की थी, परचेस फ्रॉम नॉन टैक्सेबल टेरिटरी सप्लाई टू द नॉन टैक्सेबल टेरिटरी. पैरा 8A वेयर हाउस गुड्स sold before filing the bill of entry for home consumption, and para 8B we talked about high seas sale. बहुत बढ़िया. नहीं नहीं, अल्कोहलिक लिकर फॉर ह्यूमन कंजम्पशन वहां पे शेड्यूल 3 में कवर नहीं है, शेड्यूल 3 में कवर नहीं है बेटा. ठीक है. नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन, क्या एग्जेम्प्टेड आइटम का अगर एक्सपोर्ट करता हूं मैं आईटीसी ले सकता हूं? इफ आई एम डूइंग द एक्सपोर्ट ऑफ एग्जेम्प्टेड आइटम कैन आई टेक द आईटीसी? If I'm exporting the exempted item, can I take the ITC? If I'm exporting the exempted item, can I take the ITC? Answer is yes. Next question. What is being struck down in case of Mohit Mineral judgment given by the apex court? सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने एक मोहित मिनरल जजमेंट में कुछ स्ट्रक डाउन किया, कुछ एंट्रीज को अल्ट्रा वायरस का. क्या था क्रक्स में मुझे बता सकते हैं? दैट वुड बी रियली अप्रिशिएबल. कौशिकी, मानसा, विराज एंड गीता. If my outward supply is exempted but exported, I can claim the ITC 16 subsection 2 of IGST Act. Recall that अगर मैं exempt domestic supply करता हूं मुझे ITC नहीं मिलेगा, लेकिन अगर वो exempted item मैंने export किया मुझे ITC मिल जाएगा, क्योंकि जैसे ही मैंने exempted item को export किया it will be treated as zero rated supply. क्या बात है. Right answer given by Kaushiki regarding Mohit Mineral judgment. क्या बात है. वेरी नाइस गीता. विराज एब्सोल्युटली करेक्ट. सो अगर मैं आपसे पूछूं इन अनदर मैनर कि सीआईएफ अब टैक्सेबल है कि एफओबी टैक्सेबल है, इन विच कैटेगरी आई नीड टू पे द जीएसटी अंडर आरसीएम, सीआईएफ या एफओबी? The answer would be FOB, not CIF, because CIF की केस में तो सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने कहा कि ये तो एक कंपोजिट सप्लाई का ट्रांजेक्शन है, यू कैन नॉट टेक सेपरेटली द टैक्सेस अंडर आरसीएम. ठीक है. कैन यू प्लीज टेल मी that there are the 5 conditions for export of service? Quickly tell me any 2 conditions or try to tell me all 5 conditions. मैं रिपीट करता हूं, सर्विस को एक्सपोर्ट करने के लिए 5 कंडीशन है. कैन यू प्लीज क्विकली टेल मी व्हाट आर दोस 5 कंडीशन? There are the 5 conditions for export of service. Can you please tell me what are those 5 conditions? Kaushiki has given 1 condition, 2 condition, 3 condition, 4 condition. Wow. Only 1 answer I have received from Kaushiki and the 4 conditions he has given, and now I am talking about the 1 more condition. बेटा टोटल 5 कंडीशन है, एक और कंप्लीट करो. Wow, very nice. Kaushik has given the all fifth condition, all five condition. Thank you so much, beta. Shyam Kumar, right, right. दो condition आपने दी, both are correct. विराज, दो condition आपने दी, both are correct, but there are total five condition. I need all the five condition from everyone. Please quickly tell me. गीता, आपने मुझे दो बताया बेटा, दोनों राइट है, पर टोटल पांच कंडीशन है, बाकी तीन और बताओ क्विकली. Quickly, please tell me rest all the three conditions, all the balance three conditions. You all have tell me, like Shyam Kumar, Viraj, and Geeta. You all have tell me. You all have replied the two condition which both are correct, but there are total five condition. Quickly tell me the balance three condition. Fine. The last question for the day. If supplier is located out of India, providing the service OIDAR, Online Information Database Access Retrieval. If the supplier is located out of India, OIDAR services, recipient in India, then please tell me when the OIDAR service provider has to take mandatory registration in India and have to raise the GST invoice by charging the GST under forward charge. Supplier OIDAR located out of India, when he needs to take mandatory registration and charge the GST on the tax invoice. Kya baat hai. Very nice, very nice. Kaushik has given the right answer. Viraj has given the right answer. Very nice. Who else? OIDAR service provider located out of India, when he need to raise that, when he required to take registration in India and has to raise the tax invoice under forward charge. Absolutely correct. Mansa Shyam Kumar also has given the right answer. What is the right answer? If the recipient in India is NTOR, non-taxable online recipient, non-taxable online recipient who are unregistered or definitely unregistered person, if they are receiving the services, liability to pay the tax is shifted to the OIDAR service provider located out of India. They have to take compulsory registration in section 24 clause 11 and they have to charge GST under forward charge basis. From my side, today class is completed. Quickly tell me whether you have enjoyed the class, you find it very useful or not. एक बार मुझे कंफर्म करना, क्लास कैसी थी? एवरीथिंग इज ओके? हाँ, गवर्नमेंट, कौशिक की गवर्नमेंट भी है. गवर्नमेंट वो टेकन द रजिस्ट्रेशन ओनली फॉर द पर्पस ऑफ टीडीएस, सेक्शन 51. Other three conditions for export. Viraj, amount should come in the foreign currency or RBI जहां permission है, it can come in INR. It should be separate entity. ठीक है, establishment of the distinct person होना चाहिए. And place of the supply should also be out of India. Supplier India में, place of the supply out of India, recipient out of India. Amount can come in INR. Amount can come in INR wherever permitted or otherwise foreign currency. And last is supplier and the recipient should be separate entity. Thank you very much. Good night to all of you. We'll meet Tuesday, अपनी next class Tuesday, and that will be different. Very, very important topic. Very, very important. And we'll try to understand in the same pattern. Thank you so much. Good night to all of you. Ashok ji, you can wind up.